I'm looking forward to the conversation, looking forward to hearing from the outstanding guests that have been put together for this. And again, thank you, Tim, for the opportunity to participate in this. And we can talk more about some of the work that we've been doing recently on accelerating the pace. I think we hear more than anything a sense of urgency coming from across the board, but really from our young people that are saying, hey, it's nice to see there's some progress that's been made, but not enough and not quick enough. And so how do we now move this forward in a collaborative sense, working together to really make some amazing things happen in our city?
Thank you very much, Willie. Thank you. And so let's in terms of just with Teresa, Chad, let's start with you, Teresa. Just really kind of what resonates with you. Give a little bit of background in terms of just your area of interest and concentration, and kind of what resonates with you most about what's happening right now with COVID-19, not only with COVID-19, the pandemic, but with some of the challenges that we're facing with health and wellness and housing and the community. Let's talk to that a little bit.
Well, my thoughts about what's going on right now is pretty twofold. One has to do with the pandemic. So we have people that are locked in their homes or isolated, or they're out of work, or they're unable to make their rent or mortgage payments. And so the first thing that I think about is the fact that we want people to be healthy. We want them to be well, and we want to make sure that they continue to be able to move forward. So just with helping with the rent and the utilities, we are able to do that for people. So we're able to help people get their rent and utilities paid. And so I'll provide the phone number for that from Family Housing Advisory Service. So I'm Teresa Hunter, Family Housing Advisory Services. I guess I should have said that. And so we're doing rent and utility assistance, and that number is 402-934-6763. But because the pandemic is not discriminating against anybody based on whether they're renting or owning, if someone has a problem with their mortgage, because it's due to COVID, they've been laid off their work or furloughed or whatever, their hours have been reduced just because of this crisis, then they're also able to get mortgage assistance at 402-934-6741. So I want to make sure that people are okay with that. But there's also this Black Lives Matter thing that's happening. And the reality is that people finally realize that Black lives really matter. And it's so important for us to be able to move on, though, despite the fact that there's a pandemic. And we know most of the wealth that people have, most of the assets they have, is because of the home and the wealth that's built up through the equity in someone's home. And so we want to make sure that people can still move forward to fight despite what's going on. So we're still doing financial education for people. We're still doing home ownership classes for people, because we know that a lot of the problem with having low rates for African Americans is the fact that we have faced unfair treatment for years and years and years. Predatory lending, all of those things have happened, unfair interest rates and things of that nature. So one of the things that we see in the African American community as well is that sometimes we're afraid to go forth and seek that home ownership because of past credit problems or current credit problems. But we also know that a lot of them are because we've had to deal with predatory lending. And so that takes years and years to unravel. But just be certain to know that we are there in the trenches with you. If it takes 3 months, we're there to help people move that 3 months. If it takes 10 years to get there, we've worked with people for 10 years to become a homeowner. And we'll work with you as well. So if there are people or your friends or whatever knows that they want to get into home ownership eventually, it doesn't matter how long it's going to take. We want to give you the resources to be able to do it. Taking our class, which is free, you will get a mortgage action plan and you'll be able to decide, okay, this is what I need to do today. I can increase my income, and I'll, come back over the years. And through that entire process, we will make sure that people have what they need in order to be sustainable. So we're working with people with the home buyer education. Is it even a good idea for me? We will provide the education, we'll provide the information, we'll walk with you through the process to determine this is not a good idea or it is. Either way, it's your choice, but we want you to be an educated consumer. So we do that. We also have a fair housing center that deals with housing discrimination. So if during this time you're working with someone, or even if you're in a rental center situation or wanting to become a homeowner, and you determine that you think some discrimination is taking place in your process, then we will help find that out. We have a top-notch fair housing center that deals with housing discrimination in any respect. So please do call us, and that number is 402-934-6675. So we'll help people if they're dealing with that type of a situation, or if your landlord decides that I'll forgive your rent if you do me a few favors, and that's not right. Give us a call too. We'll check that out for you too. That's at 402-934-6675. That's our Fair Housing Center again. And then getting back to the home ownership thing, we have match savings, so we can help people if they're trying to save for a home. We can match their savings to help with their down payment. And we also do the Earned Income Tax Credit Coalition. That's doing free tax preparation. And it's helping people to get a refund so they can possibly have some of those funds to help them to be able to purchase a home for their down payment and closing costs as well. So we have all those things that are going on. In addition, there's Omaha 100, which is a mortgage lending consortium. That means they are helping people get affordable mortgage loans or home loans to be able to get in that home. And we're also offering down payment and closing cost assistance through Omaha 100. It's an awesome opportunity. So whatever your housing need and you don't know how to get there, we'll help you figure it out, and we'll help you get on your journey so that you can become whatever you're seeking to become. We're wanting people to be successful. We don't want people to just look and see other people moving forward, but we want to become owners in our own communities. We want people to not have to just set by somebody else who sets the prices, but for us to have our own places and to be able to own them. So I think that was a lot, but that's what we're trying to do, and we're here to help people. Again, if you need rent assistance, it's 402-934-6763. If you need mortgage assistance, it's 402-934-6741. If you are interested in becoming a homeowner, then it's 402-934-1777. And if you want to get a mortgage loan so that you can own your home, then that's Omaha 100. That's 402-342-3773.
Teresa, if you can hear me, just want to jump in for a second. So you put in some, first of all, if somebody wants to own a home, if somebody wants to stay in their home, and we obviously know with COVID situation coming up, I want to bring back for just a second on that, but there's a question posed. Want to make sure that the numbers that you've sent out or have said, let's post them in the chat and then also on the live stream so people have those exact numbers. But I want to come back before we move to Johnny. We know that there's a situation bubbling where people either through unemployment or other factors may not be in position to be able to pay their rent or their mortgage. What specifically can Family Housing Advisory Services, you may have touched on already, but just give us a real quick snapshot of what's available to help people stay in their home, stay in their apartment during this time period.
It's as long as you have a furlough or whatever you have that diminished your income because of COVID, then that's exactly what we're here for, just to help you through that situation. So it doesn't discriminate against, it doesn't say, well, your income is higher than the average or whatever, so therefore you cannot receive assistance. COVID didn't care what you were making before. It laid you off anyway. So that's what we're here for. And we can do rent assistance. We can also help with your utilities. And we can also help with, if you need some food or something, we can help with some funds for that as well. So that's on the rental side. That number again is 402-934-6763. 402-934-6763, and I will put it in the chat. And we also help with mortgage. And again, all it has to be on the requirement is that your situation was because of COVID. If you just decided not to pay rent or mortgage for a few months, that's not the thing. But if it has to do with, COVID, with the pandemic that's going on now, we certainly have funds to assist.
Thank you, Teresa. You've been doing this work for a long time and really incredibly important, that specifically right now. I want to move over to Johnny Rogers. Johnny, you travel across the country, maybe not so much now with COVID going on, but a Heisman Trophy winner, business owner, entrepreneur, involved in a lot of work. Johnny, what are you seeing, hearing? What are you thinking about the time that we're in right now and what's facing us here in Omaha and as Black people, as African Americans here in the United States right now? What's on your mind?
Well, what's on my mind, Willie, is in my mind, this is another form of torture. You don't really have to physically maim someone to actually to put them in harm and to put them in torture. You can put them in quarantine. They can be off work. They can't do a certain amount of things. They're under restrictions until they start making themselves sick. I mean, and we're wondering about what should we do or what can we do. I don't think at this particular point in time there's very much we can do, but just to try to take whatever steps that we can to make ourselves better at this time and to plan for later. Because there's nothing stable you can really base any significant planning on at this time. You can count on because it could change next month or the month after until this is over. So I'm personally trying to wait till after the first of the year to make some things happen. I think that the thing that we really want to do in our community is that we want to be conscious that we want to make sure that we get counted for the census, because we're going to need some financial helps on all of our nonprofits and our schools and our senior citizens and hospitals. We're going to need a lot of money. And the one thing that we don't want to do is to take steps to act like we are not here. We want to stand up and let it be known that we want to be counted where we are at this time, and we want to take advantage of all the advantages that are available for us. And the simplest thing that we could do right now as a community is to make sure everybody, ourselves and everybody around us, make sure they take the steps to be counted.
Hey, Johnny, I'm going to jump in right there. Tim wants to make sure that we're hitting it and we're real tonight about what's really going on in the community. I want you to talk about where are we right now based on the preliminary numbers. How are we doing in North Omaha? How are we doing as African Americans? Are we getting the census information in? What's happening with us right now?
Well, in our particular community, we're not really responding nearly as well as we need to be responding. And so we're trying to come up with different creative ideas of how we can get people's attention and how we can help them out. We are having people like down at Heart Ministry, different food banks that are coming through. When people come through, we ask them, have you finished your census? And if they haven't, we want to take steps to try to help them fill it out on the spot, because as simple as it may seem, some people just don't have the wherewithal to really get it done. They need assistance, and we have to find all different type of ways to get to those people. And in our community, we call them the hard to count. And so we were trying to figure out different ways to get to that hard to count, because we're kind of, we're about in the 60s, in the 60th percentile of actually getting it actually completed. But every little bit helps.
I know you're all about making sure that you say, when I've heard you before, that every day is game day. This is game day for us in your
every
work.
Day.
And so
not every other day.
Tell me though, from a person that's just sitting from the outside, I hear the census. Okay, that sounds good enough, but why? Why am I going to fill this thing out? What good is it going to do for me in North Omaha or as an African American in the city of Omaha? What good is this census thing going to do for me?
Well, right about now, when people are having trouble with money, it's going to be a tremendous amount of good. When they're trying to get help from nonprofits like Teresa's deal is concerned, that the way she gets more funding is to say, how many people in your community have a need? Well, we don't have a need if you don't have people there. So if they don't fill it out to make themselves present and current and heard of, then we can't really correct that for 10 more years. So it's really critical for our schools, for our senior citizens complexes, for it's about $500 trillion that's involved out there. And our community wants to get our fair share, and we can only get it if we're counted. And right now, we just don't think it's important, or we don't trust the government enough. They're going to do this, that, and other. And I ask people all the time when they say how they really don't trust the government and they don't want to do it because they're afraid, but they all have a Facebook account. you can't be
everything. Your whole life is on Facebook, right?
you can't be nervous if you got a Facebook account. You're already out there.
But it impacts jobs, streets, businesses, everything that we see and touch. The census has an impact on it.
Everything that we see and touch, and we're connected with, and the only thing we have to do is speak up and be counted. That's it. It takes about a minute or two to fill out your census form.
Good. Thank you, Johnny. We'll come back to you. We got Chet here. Chet, jump into the conversation, man. What's on your mind? What's going on? What are you thinking? What are you seeing? This time that we're in, this season that we're in right now. Give some opening comments to us.
I'm gonna touch on a couple of points that Teresa made. I worked in banking for a number of years, and I even look at not even from the residential side, but even the commercial side. I think all you guys are familiar with Ernest White, who is still to this day the only Black commercial lender that I know. I don't know that another one exists in the region. So I mean, the partial issue that we have, with leadership in general is, they don't look like us. Part of that is, I think it's bred, from the moment we start become educated. We're in the public system. We don't really get the education that matters. We don't learn about a mortgage until it's time to buy a home, and that's the
Right.
most important purchase that you'll make in your life. Don't learn about it until it's time to do it. From a commercial standpoint, I've had businesses, I've had brick and mortar buildings. I didn't learn about that process until I was a part of it. And I was the minority. The lenders that I'm lending from, the agents that I'm working with, the landlords that I work with, none of them look like me. I think, even as I grow, I have kids, my kids get older. I try to educate them from a young age, on some of these things and why it is important. I had a conversation with my daughter the other day about, what do you want to be when you grow up? She had no idea. I'm only 8. And then, later that night, we're watching Shark Tank. In Shark Tank, there was a girl 8 years old selling and pitching her business to the sharks. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And that was that moment where I was like, Gabby, what's going on? Y'all are the same age. Why aren't y'all on the same level? Obviously, I don't know her situation. A lot of non-minorities, are going to start with things like assets. They start with a home. Their parents bought a home, paid it off. That's handed off to them. They start with something that they can sell and has value, which in our community, I can't say it's the case, in many different situations. So, it's already an unfair playing field, and we as, adults have to educate our kids at a very young age that, that can't be accepted. The political system, you ask most people of color, about the election season, and, all they're really thinking about is the presidential election. Well, that's just one sector of government, and honestly, they're the ones signing the check and, not really making complete decisions. They're just putting their name on the decisions that are made.
That's right.
So, learning about, even at a state level, how it affects, your national, these programs that we want set up for us, if they don't look like us, they're not going to have, the ambition to change anything. I look at something as serious as, this pandemic, and even aside, before the pandemic, diabetes, cholesterol, a lot of these diseases, high blood pressure, they're massively, affecting our community, people of color, in higher numbers and higher percentages than they do in other races, yet we don't do anything about that situation. Me, having that background of a fitness instructor, for many, many years, like we gotta stop playing, any type of victimized role, like looking at some of these situations that are going on regarding COVID. I'm one of those firm believers. I don't understand COVID, and I work in the healthcare field. I don't know what to believe anymore. I know one thing that I can do is have control over my health, so that again is influenced on my kids at a young age. They're instilled with, proper nutritional habits, because one thing I do have control over is my immunity and how healthy I am. You know, I might not be able to stop myself from, you know, acquiring a disease like COVID, but I can put myself in a position to where if I do acquire it, I'm not one of those individuals who, you know, is symptomatic or, you know, gets extremely sick and dies, you know. So we can't be scared. We can't stick in our house and wait for other people to come, you know, do these things for us. We have to be, you know, the motivators ourselves, self-motivation. It has to start internally with, you know, putting all the emphasis on, you know, being as healthy as we can, you know, educating ourselves when we are in those situations to, we're unemployed, you know, now what? We can't sit back and wait for the government to provide, you know, for us, because again, you know, like they don't look like us, and it's not going to happen as quick. It's not happening quickly enough for other races. It's for sure not going to happen fast enough for us. So what can we do? You know, you got to create those opportunities.
That's good.
Everybody has a skill set, you know, to some degree. My first business, you know, like I went to school for business, and you know, wasn't really sure where I wanted to take that. My first business was a janitorial service. It was something I knew I was able to do. I could talk to people, you know, and talk them into giving me a shot. I underbid a lot. I learned a lot, you know, but at the same time, I created that opportunity. I've got a great, you know, position with the company that I'm at right now, Pivot Concierge Health. And I, you know, I've been around the corporate world long enough to know that they're only as loyal as your last, what you've done for them lately, you know? So if I'm going to sit back and, you know, think that this job, although it's taking care of me right now, again, all the leadership at the top, I don't know one senior executive vice president that looks like me. So, you know, if they're not sticking around, they're firing people left and right that look like them, then, you know, I'm on the chopping block just as easily. So, you know, I have to have that backup plan. And, you know, my backup plan, and that's why I still train on the side. You know, it's not necessarily, I enjoy it. I'm passionate about it. And obviously, you know, I do it for free and I've done it for free on a number of different occasions. But at the same time, that's my resource. That's my backup plan. If my job lets me go today, whether it be for COVID reasons or whatever the case may be, you know, I've got a backup plan to where I can, you know, streamline some income. And understanding that, you know, like people that are interested in the industries that we are able to, you know, call ourselves professionals as, you know, like you see somebody that looks like us that has that interest, you know, throwing them some bones, you know, giving them the proper advice to have some shortcuts to be successful, and, you know, not being so competitive, you know, like I think in a lot of cases, you know, we compete where you look at a lot of, you know, I came from Aventura, Florida. That's where I was doing COVID testing. We did about 1,600 tests a day. And just to give you guys an idea of Aventura and Bell Harbor, there's gentrification. And it's not like gentrification in North Omaha where you've got, you know, wealthy white people buying areas and then, you know, trying to kick out low-income Black people. It's billionaires kicking out millionaires. And, you know, like, wow. And even in that situation, you know, it's a do or die, you know, like, but the racists stay together. Like the Jewish people in Aventura, they buy from Jewish people. You know, the Russians in Bell Harbor, they do big $1 million deals for other Russians that look just like them. And, you know, the cycle, it repeats itself over and over before it does see another, you know, race. And until, you know, we can get to a position where we're doing that on a regular basis, we're setting ourselves up for failure. Because you got immigrants coming, you know, from all over the globe that come to this country with nothing, and, you know, don't even have a right in many people's eyes to live here. Yet they become successful because they stick to what they know, the people they know. They get that education from the people they know. They trust in the people they know. They buy from the people they know. So I mean, there's I understand we're not going to accomplish doing this conversation, but there's got to be some sense of self-motivation and you know, like, I got to take care of this for me and my family. And then I help my friends and my circle of, and that's how we grow.
And I think you're right, Chad, that we can't get it all done in this session, but I think what we're hoping is at least to stimulate the thought. But as we look at, I mean, I think partly it starts with, you know, looking at ourselves in the mirror in terms of what can we do internally. Right. And just like you talked about, those immigrants and those sets of groups, how they support each other.
Mhm.
But if we could, as we look at wrapping up this first segment, if you had to look at the next 1 to 3 years, what do you what do you see that we really have to work on and that we have to get right as we look at this opportunity to lean forward, to move forward, to build a stronger Black community? When we each take 60 seconds to really think about what are those nuggets that we really have to pay attention to to get us there the next 1 to 3 years. Teresa, you want to start? Then let's just go around and just now we're vision casting. What's next? How do we got to get it to all of your points? Every single one of you made some brilliant points, but now it's just how do we get at it? What's the nuts and bolts?
From my perspective, the first thing that we do is educate ourselves. And as Chet said before, it's really a matter of knowing that there's someone for you, because I think often we feel like we're doing it alone or we don't even understand. But really just to understand, and I have people who are homeowners and really don't understand the terms equity and what that really means. And we really want to make sure that people understand what those are. And we have folks that care. They care enough to make sure that you're okay. They care enough to make sure that you can reach those goals you're trying to reach. And so the first thing is just sign up for a class, register for a class. You don't have to know anything. You don't have to be ready to purchase in a year. You don't have to be ready to purchase in 5 years. We want you to have the information that you need so that you can just get started. And we don't feel like, if you're not ready tomorrow, then don't waste our time. This is the time. And this is exactly what we need to be doing. Our lives matter. And the goals that you're wanting to reach, they also matter. And it matters to us enough to invest whatever time it takes to walk you through that process, and however many years it takes. So sign up for a class, whether it's financial or for home ownership. Contact someone in the Fair Housing Center. If you don't know that you face discrimination and you just think it might have been, that's what we do. We find out and we make sure that you get your remedies after that. So I'll just say, just call us and we'll point you in the right direction. We'll get you the help that you need so that you're able to operate. And one of the things that we do too is the foreclosure prevention. So it's not just a matter of writing you a check so that you can take care of your rent, your mortgage payment or your home loan. But the thing is to work with the financials, because with your mortgage institution or your lender, often people don't understand that they can have certain rights in that area. But if you contact us, that's what we do. We've been doing it. So we're a 50-plus-year-old organization. We have a specialist that's been doing this for over 20 years, and she knows when nobody else knows. So call the person who knows, who can help you with it.
Teresa, again, we want to thank you for participating in this first panel. And you put a lot of information out there, contact numbers, anything regarding financial literacy, financial empowerment, staying in your home, buying a home. So we appreciate all the work that you've been doing. I'm going to jump over to Chet, coming back to you, Chet, to Tim's question. Where do we go from here? I've got 60 seconds. What are the top 2 or 3 things that you want to put out here for folks?
All right, the 2 things I got a program. It's a home at home workout program that's free, 30 days worth of workouts. The internet's got a plethora, like we shouldn't be uneducated in this day and age. There's just too much wealth of information at the disposal at our fingertips that all of us on this call, when we were there, and our teams didn't have access to. So, there's plenty of workout programs. Like I said, I've got a at-home based workout. You don't need much equipment. Just reach out to me, chet@coachchet.com. I'm willing to send it to anybody that wants it. My second little tidbit that I want to leave with is start to educate one another. We have to be educated on the political system. We have to be eligible voters, and we have to get out and vote in our city and county elections as often as possible and motivate each and every one of our friends in our circle of influence to do the same.
You've hit on a lot of key points, Chet. You talked about making sure our youth understand mortgages, they understand finance, that we're supporting each other, doing business with each other. And then that piece of right now, especially with a lot of us locked in our homes and everything else, making sure that we're physically exercising and doing those things and staying healthy from a physical and mental standpoint. So we appreciate you.
Love yourself. No problem.
And one of the key messages I heard from both you and Teresa is there's some personal responsibility. Yeah, we know we need some other people to step up, but what is it that we can do to help ourselves in our own community? So I appreciate you being a part of that. Mr. Rogers, you get to close out this portion of the segment.
Well, I was going to say diet and exercise, but Chet got the exercise covered. That's very important.
That's right.
But for diet, most of the people that are really dying are the most vulnerable people. And that's basically because of their diet. We have to get away from this thing just because something tastes good. We have to go for foods that fuels you rather than just fill you up, and help our kids to learn good eating habits at an early age. Because a lot of the different problems we have is because some of those people are all dying, or people are already sick for different things that they have done because they're not really taking care of their health. And like Chet said earlier, if people who are in good shape or in good condition get sick, we don't die. So you don't have to be nearly as fearful, because right now everybody is just afraid. And they're afraid based on how they've been living in the past, not so much in the present. So be careful with what we put into our mouths, because everything that tastes good ain't good.
Well, that really wraps it up right there, Johnny. We appreciate it. And the message of that you reinforced earlier, that we must get involved, get the census answered, get that thing turned in, fill out the form online, do what we need to do there, but also reminding of our health and making sure that we are putting ourselves in a position that we can be healthy, wealthy, and strong as we move forward. Appreciate you being there. Turning it back to you, Tim.
Right on. Well, thank you guys so much again. And what we're going to do, we're going to transition into our next panel that we're going to focus on community, education, and citizenship. And believe me, stay around. It's going to be a live, very vibrant conversation. But like the panelists here, it's about giving people tools and resources so they can do something about what's happening to themselves. And Johnny, I just love it, because I'm in a personal battle in terms of just, I love the things that taste good. And as Chad used to be one of my trainers, and I'm challenged. And I tell you, I have really because of this COVID-19, been really disciplined in terms of trying to stay away from the sugars, getting my cardio in. And some of you probably have joined me on this whole thing called Breathe With Me. I think we got to breathe more and increase our lung capacity and things like that. So thank you guys. We're going to go ahead and transition into the next panel. Okay, thank you. You guys, our technicians, they'll do all that seamlessly and behind the scenes and get us into our next panelists. So I know Richard Webb and Precious. I know they're waiting. Monique, Cannon, and Krebs. We're going to transition you guys in, and we also, there's going to be the opportunity. We have some commercials, some spots that some of our sponsors we're going to play right now during this transition. So give us a few seconds. Okay, I see you, Richard. Okay, we're going to transition into the next panel.
I see you said save the best for first when you was talking to Johnny, so I see not too much has changed. Tim, I'm calling you out on that.
House. I'm in conjunction with the North Omaha COVID-19 Community Task Force, and I'm here to give you some guidelines on how to stay safe and keep your family healthy. Number one,
I see you called out saying
that, you know,
save the
wash
first
your hands.
Best.
Number three,
first when we
try not to touch your face.
To make sure this
Number four, spend time with your family. And number 5 and 6, take care of your mental and your physical health.
We got Terrell.
Stay safe and be well.
Precious
My name is Avon.
Let's go ahead and
Since
bring
I was
Precious
3,
on. Is she
I was
on
living
yet?
with just me and my mom.
I
Mentoring
see
has had a
Monique
positive
Fred.
impact on Avon's life in
This
so many different
session is gonna
ways.
be live. I got Tony Sanders, Reverend Tony Sanders on.
So
here.
Avon has been matching with me now for about 6.5 years.
Let's hold.
Having a mentor helped him trust people.
I feel like I can talk to him
The
about
commercial's
anything.
on
It's
the
just
live
amazing
feed.
the type of impact that you have that you may not even know that you're having.
By now you've heard it's a good idea to wear a face covering in public.
Please do not take it personally.
Your mask protects me, my mask protects you.
But here's the key. Make sure it covers your mouth.
Oh, y'all fancy with this. Y'all got a whole commercial
Like
going.
this.
It's easy, Douglas County, so please wear a mask.
I'm seeing young, upcoming leaders in our community already stepping up to the plate and being mature and helping their families, their community, and the people that they love to make sure that we all get through this together.
Precious.
All right, Willie. Okay. What did Precious say? We're fancy. Hey, we're trying to do the deal.
But I didn't realize it was streaming live.
All
so
live through the commercial, Precious. There you go. All live through the commercial. See?
Yeah.
How long we been doing this? We've been doing this with
This is going to be. We got quite a few. We got to get started. We got quite a few panelists on this. I mean, it's 3 areas that we want to really talk about, and so we got a lot more folks to get around. So what we're going to ask is that this is really an opportunity to tease a little bit. So be very pointed, precise in terms of to the point as it relates to, and then we can put things in the chat if we want to direct people to action on some things. And so Willie, with that, I mean, I kind of thumbed through all of the panelists, which I mean, we all of them are strong. So I'll let you. I'm gonna give you. You get us started in terms of wherever you want to start.
Yeah. So obviously this segment is about community and it's about education, but knowing the group on here and what you heard from the first segment, we want to hit on community and education, but we really want to know where we are from your perspective. And then before we leave, it's going to be short on time, but where do we go from here? What are the recommendations that we need to put on the table? So again, we have an illustrious group here with us. I'm going to jump off right into the heat with Precious McKesson. Precious, what do you see right now in the area of community, education, neighborhoods? How do you feel about where we are? And then we'll talk later about where we need to go from here.
Okay. Well, first, thank you for inviting me to join this panel. This is really a firehouse panel right here. I was listening to the other one, but I think this is going to be the one. But I would just say right now where we're at a point where people are now understanding the importance of neighborhoods, and they realize that neighborhoods cannot function, or the city, or just in general cannot function without the support of neighborhoods. We are still seeing some things where we're having food insecurities throughout the community. So just working together and seeing how everyone is coming together with the churches, partnering up with the housing, the towers, just making sure everybody's able to get fresh fruits and vegetables and foods for their families. I think people are more giving and understanding and wanting to be able to be a part of the neighborhoods and understanding the dynamics that come behind the neighborhoods and how we can really make our neighborhoods stronger and safer and stronger. So I think we're going in a good direction. We still got a lot of work to do, but I feel we're going in the right direction, just as long as we can keep up the momentum instead of saying after COVID's over, we kind of go back to not being as William will always say, love thy neighbor. We want to just continue that going forward and really strengthen that throughout the year instead of just waiting to, just not because we're in a crisis. Let's keep that going year round.
Thank you, Precious. I'm gonna come to you, Leo. You're involved in a lot of different work and activities in the community, but from your perspective, where are we right now, whether in relation to the pandemic or anything else that's happening, something that we need to address in our community from your perspective?
I would say the number one thing we need to work on right now is relationships. We need to build relationships between each other. We are too divided. We've always been divided, but these relationships need to be built. And how we do that is we need to understand that we're all at different levels, and that's okay. It's okay to be at different levels. It's okay for a person to be street. It's okay for a person to be polished and professional. It's okay. As long as we are able to maintain those relationships, we can come together. And I like to talk about that through language and culture, but we can get into that another time. But to make it short, relationships.
Relationships. We heard about neighborhood strength, making sure that we don't just leave this out once we make it through COVID. Reverend Tony Sanders, again, you've been in this game a long time, man. What's on your mind? One thing that needs to be addressed from your perspective.
Leo hit up on it in his statement. It's relationships, and I think we have all recognized this for many, many years. I've been doing this type of work, community work and advocacy for at least 30 years now. And over those 30 years, what I have noticed is that there are a number of people who come together who can identify what the issues are. But when it comes to groups coming together, working together, and staying together, we've seen a lot of people come and go over the years. And so my hope, in addition to what Leo was saying, is that we would find that groove and that we would, it's wonderful to see what has happened locally as well as globally as a result of the George Floyd murder. We've seen people who wouldn't normally come out. I mean, when you see the Amish community standing outside, coming outside of their communities and standing with us, they don't stand with anyone. They don't come out. They came out of their community and stood with Black Lives Matter signs. Other countries, joined in the their displeasure and being disgruntled and being upset with what's going on here. And so when we begin to see that type of international collaboration, it is inspiring and encouraging. So my hope is that this does not just become a trend. It doesn't become a fad. It doesn't become another incident that is on the breaking news and headlines for a period of time, and then it dissipates. We've seen that happen with Trayvon Martin and with Philando Castile and Eric Gardner and so many others. And Sandra Bland. There was outrage, but what kept that from moving to a movement like this, George Floyd incident and others, I think is us working together. And so now this has gotten us to a point where it has crossed color lines, socioeconomic lines. And so hopefully we can keep that momentum and keep it moving.
Thank you, Reverend Sanders. Just tying into that, Richard, we've been in different moments before. What makes this different? And can we pull together at this point? If at no other time, is this a time that we can pull together? So just tying into the conversation, man, how you feeling about where we are? And the one thing that, is this a moment that we can pull together and make this thing happen?
I think exactly what you said. It's not a moment that we can, it's a moment that we must completely understand that is the way forward. We have to unite, first of all, with us, and Leo hit it on, and then Reverend Tony Sanders said the same thing. When it comes to relationships, but also understanding and extending grace, understanding that leadership in this time period that we're in right now, if we were 100% honest, it's scary. We just want to make the best decisions as we can as leaders, and we have to understand that history does not depict what the future can bring. So we need to stand united together, understanding that we all should have the common agenda of making sure the next generation has a better platform and a better foundation than we started with. And if we want to do it, there's empathy right now in our community, but we need to turn that empathy into action, and the action together can propel us forward.
Thank you, Richard. Terrell, jump in, man. What's on your mind with what's happened, what you've heard, or anything else that's on your mind as far as what needs to happen right now?
I would say what needs to happen to make some strides. I would say we just got to be, us as a community, we have to be unapologetic about striving for independence as a community, because I believe it's on us to make our community better. I don't think we should be waiting for anybody to come in and improve our community. we have to take the initiative and start improving our community ourselves. It's not an easy task, but it has to happen. I think we got to put our personal egos aside, whatever type of ego you have or how you feel about yourself or this group you with or anything. We got to put that aside to build our community. We have some leverage right now and we should take full advantage of it, but it's not going to happen if we're not operating as one. It's going to take us to come together and realize that it's on us to make this better. We can't keep going along and saying our community ain't improving and we're not the ones improving our community. It's going to take us.
I'm hearing relationship. I'm hearing that we've got to make sure that we maximize this moment that we have with neighborhoods being involved, and that we got to look beyond. I'm coming over to you, Monique. You can comment on whatever you've heard so far, or you may have something new you want to throw on the table. Where are we and where do we need to go from here?
Definitely. So I'm Monique Cribbs with Metropolitan Community College. I'm the Director of Enrollment. And what everyone said so far, I agree. But the one thing I did tell my family was during this pandemic, when we came home in March, I told everyone it's time for you to focus on yourself, meaning education is key. Education is the thing that will move us forward. I've worked in education now for 17 years, and I'm currently at Metropolitan Community College. And so I told people, if you want to increase your skill sets, this is the time. If you were laid off from a job due to COVID or something else is going on, this is the time to retool yourself. If you were looking for work, you know, there was the what we call the first responders. So working like at a grocery store when they were needing help and people. So thinking about how do you retool yourself so that you can manage yourself through the pandemic. So education is always key. Saving money because we're going into a recession. So making sure that you're making smart choices. That was stated on the first panel when Teresa was talking about home ownership. So being smart. This is not the time to be flashy. This is not the time to make huge purchases. But I'm going to go back to what I know is education. Taking a class, pursuing a certificate, pursuing your associate's degree, whatever that was that before you thought you didn't have time for, you definitely have time now because we're in the house. This is a time to rethink about what you want to reach for, what you want to go for, and take it one baby step at a time. I always tell people one class will get you one class closer to where you're supposed to be. For myself, I've been in my doctoral program for 7 years. It's been the longest 7 years of my life, but I'm closer now to being at the end than when I started. And so I'm not going to stop. I encourage others not to stop, to visualize where you want to be and that you can make it. And if you have a question, reach out to us. Reach out to me personally at Metro. Give us a call. I'll put our number out there. It's 531-622-2400. We are open. We are working virtually. We have classes. We have programs. We have not stopped. We will not stop. We have over $3 million worth of scholarships available for people. We have the CARES Act, which means if you lost your job due to COVID, we have money for you to go to school. So
Monique, speak to that, right? I mean, I was coming to that, but please speak to that. What specific opportunity that people need to know about right now that's available?
Yes. So again, Metro received close to $6 million in COVID money. And so we have a whole team ready to help people. So again, if you lost your job due to COVID, you can work through workforce development. You can give us a call directly at Metropolitan Community College and we will get you started. We have a list of programs to help you. In addition to that, as I said, even if that did not happen to you and you were still employed, we have scholarships available for high school students, for adult learners, for non-traditional people, for different programs that we offer. There's so many different opportunities. So again, I encourage people to focus on where you see yourself and take the steps necessary to get there. And some days it's really, really hard, but it will be when you make it.
Thank you, Monique. One of the things Tim wanted to do tonight was to make sure as we're having this dialogue that people understand resources that are out there and available for them right now. And so I want to jump over to Ms. Jewel Rogers, innovator in our community and from this community. Speak to what's on your heart and what's on your mind right now related to this topic.
I would just like to echo, first of all, what Monique was talking about, because that was exactly what was on my mind, was personal development, especially with the time that you have to be inside. It's essential that you focus on yourself and make yourself better. With that being said, I think in terms of what you can do to move forward while taking in light that personal development, I think you probably should be thinking about how you can strategically volunteer your time and attention to resources, causes, or individuals that you already see doing work. It doesn't necessarily have to be broadcasted everywhere. Not everybody and their mama has to know about it, but it is essential for you to take time to assist where you feel you're needed, or if somebody asks you for that help.
Thank you, Jewel. And so I've heard relationships, I've heard unity coming together, the urgency of the moment. We must maximize this education. And Juanita Johnson, jump into this conversation. What's on your mind, something that needs to be addressed in our community?
Well, good evening. Thank you, Tim and Willie, for giving me this opportunity to participate on this discussion about race and what's next. I'm excited to be on this Zoom call and equally excited about sharing this space with beautiful and dynamic leaders from all of North Omaha. My name is Juanita Johnson. I am the president of Long School Neighborhood Association. Also, I'm the chairman and founder of 24th Street Corridor Alliance. For those of you who may not be familiar with the organization, let me provide you with some facts. 2016, a group of like-minded people identified a need on 24th Street, and the organization was formed. As in the name, neighborhood leaders and business owners united for the common good of the community. Our mission is to work collectively as a team for the advancement of economic growth on North 24th Street. 2017, we became a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Monthly, the group meets and a speaker is identified from a business industry, and valuable information is provided to business owners and neighborhood leaders. Over the years, we have had a wide range of speakers representing organizations like MAPA, OPPD, Thrivent Financial, just to name a few. During our lunch and learn session, relationships have been formed, and there is now a sense of cohesiveness on the corridor, which many of the panelists have already spoke about the need of cohesiveness. This past December, we had our annual network meeting at the Love Jazz Arts Center, and we're currently members of the Omaha Chamber of Commerce and actively participate as committee members. The next step in the corridor's opinion is the sharing of information. In order for us to go to the next level as a group, as a committee, as a community, we have to share information freely. We can no longer afford to hold on to information and view it as a strategy so that our own individuals can benefit from it. We need to think from a perspective of the entire community, not just a one-man drummer. So the sharing of information will take us to the next level. Good. And in keeping in line with the organization mission, I have decided to run for District 2 City Council 2021 Omaha. In this position, I can make a greater impact on 24th Street Corridor and throughout District 2. I am thrilled to have this opportunity to run for this position and would ask that you support me on this quest. Thank you.
Juanita, I hear the main piece that I hear from you is information sharing. And there are times that it's not getting out. People don't know. Even tonight, I'm sure people are learning about resources that are out there for housing, resources that are out there for business development. So Monique, what you jump into the conversation, help us where your perspective is as far as something that needs to be addressed, and you can chime in any area that you've hit on so far.
This Monique?
Miss Monique Cannon, yes.
So I think for me, everyone knows that my lane is youth. It's youth development. And so just from what we see from a step up perspective, I think that it's about mindset change. It's about preparing our future generation to be ready for work, to be ready for business. we have lots of entrepreneurs that are on this call. We have lots of executive directors and things of that nature. But I think when it really comes down to it, we have to help our youth believe and give them the tools and the resources that they need. So whether that is financial literacy lessons, whether that is workplace readiness skills, life skills, basic skills, those essential soft skills, those are all the things that we work on from a programming perspective with Step Up. But I also think that a lot of people have talked about relationships. So the power of relationships. Richard's on the call talking about mentorship and things of that nature. And I think that the more that we give back or lift those individuals up, the better off that we'll be. So most of us we all know each other on this panel, on the other panelists that'll be piped in. And I think that that's important for us to start building that sense of community, even freshman year. So those of us who are on here need to make sure that our kids are connected. And so then therefore they are also understanding what's happening in the world of relationships and building social capital. So I would say that a growth mindset and then also that social capital building is going to be really key for success in addition to the education side.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Monique. Thanks a lot. We have another young person on the panel as one of the panelists, Jabin Moore. And so Jabin, kind of talk about what resonates with you. You've been listening. You got a chance to listen to a lot what's been going on, but kind of talk what's resonating with you.
Yeah, so sorry I'm joining late, but yeah, I echo everything that everyone said so far about building relationships. I mean, the mentorship aspect, I think that's super important to have community leaders to reach back and to help to uplift the younger generation. We had, me and Jewel both had a community leader to reach out to us. And she's, this leader is involved in so many things in the community and has so many developments going on. And so she reached out to like a group of 6 or 7 of us and said, hey, I want to teach you guys. I want to help to uplift you guys because I see what you're doing in the community and I see your potential, and I want you guys to be aware of what I'm doing, and I want you guys to add into this and help to further the movement. So I think that's the most important to me specifically because it's cool to see what all is going on in the community and see the different developments going up. But to be able to plug in and learn more and be educated on the vision that you all, as our leaders, have for our community, I think that's really important because it just gives me something to go off of and be encouraged to add on to that. So.
Right on. Thank you. William King, I believe William King is on from the Boss radio station. William, can you hear me? William King.
Yeah, I can hear you. I didn't know if I was supposed to be on this thing or not.
Yeah, you're on, man. We can't see you. We can hear your voice.
My hair ain't combed. Man.
So you said the hair is not combed.
No, you know, it's tough. It's tough.
Okay, so you've been listening. So talk about. I mean, you're a radio guy. You're in it every day. What resonates with you, and then how do we get to it and get at it?
Well, I mean, I just want to ditto what everyone else said. Our goal is to make sure that we highlight everyone else's voice. You know, that's our goal is to highlight everyone else's voice. You know, being a radio station, and so that's our ultimate goal is to highlight others' voices, what they're doing. So we help out each other. We got to make each other the experts. You know, that's and then we brag off because we love our neighbor. We do it for real. And I want other people to brag off of it too, that they had that same ethics, that they actually, you know, love their neighbors and bout it when they do it. And so I brag off it like I'm King Kong because those are the ethics that I learned when I was in Hilltop Projects. And so when I come on every day, I just teach the lessons that my mama taught me. She bats 1,000 without a doubt. But my goal is to make sure that that you guys are highlighted as the experts in your particular field, and my goal is to brag off of what you guys are doing to make our community better.
Right on, right on. So William, I appreciate that. But as we look at, you know, and I think Willie, you know, in terms of some of the recurring themes really from this panel, what really leadership and what really hit hard was relationship. Just real quick, and I know Leo, you the first that brought that up. This was about how do we move forward. So give a quick, just everybody, just real quick, how do we get there, and how do we strengthen? Because the time is now. We have to figure out how do we forge stronger relationships to move our agendas forward.
I think the key thing, Tim, is you need to make sure you're transparent while we're talking. We need to make sure and understand that we will not all be on the same accord, but we should all have the same mission that we're trying to get to. I think those are the biggest things, and making sure that, you know, organizations may have histories of not engaging or cooperatively working together, but those have to go out the window. Like I said, and like Willie said, if there's a time to make sure that we are stronger as a community and then unite as a full community, this is the time. Don't let egos get in the way. Don't let you know, our own agendas get in the way. Understand that we all must work together, and the key to working together is staying consistent, doing what you say you're going to do. So if I support your organization by showing up to your events, you need to do the same thing. And I don't mean just the fundraisers. I mean when we're coming together for a common good. Prime example with Willie Barney, when we go to city council and we're talking about affirmative action, that's something that's directly going to impact our community, that's directly going to impact our youth and our next generation. We need to make sure we show up together with a collective voice, because where you have a collective voice, you have action.
Can I piggyback on
Anybody
that real
else?
quick? Yeah, can I piggyback on that? So Juanita mentioned the communication, Leo mentioned the relationship. That comes into where we got to rebuild that trust back within our community, within others.
Oh, strong word, Precious.
We got to build that trust, because in order for us to have a good relationship, like Will's saying, we have to have that good communication, and we have to make sure that everybody's agenda, everyone has to go in there with the same thing in mind, that we are here to be a service to our community. It's not about who's going to get the most recognition, who's going to get an award. It's about who is going to do the work. And like they said, if you're not in the trenches and you're just in there just to get face time, it's not going to work. People are out here doing this work who are not even getting paid. For instance, neighborhood leaders, we don't get paid to do this work. This is our passion, because we know what goes into it. So when we're sitting on these boards, we don't get a check for that. What we're doing, we're trying to make sure the city knows that when it's time to put budgets in, or it's time to get those roads, and that we can pick up the phone and say, hey, this is going on in our community. But in order to build those relationships, you got to have the communication and you got to have the trust, and that's how the relationships are going to come back.
Who else want to weigh in on that?
Before I also want to mention, you know, I like to brag off my education. I see you, Precious. Now, I have had, especially Precious and I, on many situations. I'm at North, and she right up on stage. See, we gotta have the ability to agree to disagree, and that's a particular skill set, and that goes to the person. So regardless, we all gonna have different opinions, but we got to agree to disagree, and I think that's the core skill that everyone individually needs to develop. If we develop that, we won't be so sensitive when we disagree with each other.
So we are you basically saying too, we really don't have to really like each other? I mean, it works if you like each other, but the bottom line is finding that common ground, the commonalities that's going to put everybody in the room for one common purpose and good.
Without a doubt, because I know Precious love. But she know I'm a bacon homeboy. That's my homeboy, and boy, But I love her because I know she love I know she love my community, and that's just like with pastors. I'm tough on pastors too, but that when Daddy talks, you gotta listen. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, Pastor Sanders. And so I mean, we gotta respect everybody. I'm tough on everybody, but at the same time, I'm going to show up for your event because I work for God, for real.
I'm gonna leave that one alone, William.
Leave it alone, man. Like Terrence Crawford over here.
I don't want to light no.
Knock somebody out today.
I don't want to light no fires in terms of Precious. I don't want to get her heart rate and high blood pressure or whatever going on. But anybody else want to weigh in?
I do, Tim.
Reverend Sanders been wanting to jump in. Go ahead, Reverend Sanders.
Thank you, Willie. Really echoing what Richard said, he hit it spot on. But if there were two things that I would extract and submit, I would say, first of all, there needs to be some healing that takes place. And then second of all, you know, in terms of this collaborative effort, we got to see the bigger picture. And so when we can see the bigger picture, then going to William's statement, and I think Precious may have referenced it as well, when we see the bigger picture, then we're not focusing on the minor issues and or the differences and the dislikes. We have a large community. Everyone's not going to get along. Everyone's not going to believe the same thing. Everyone's not going to, you know, approach it the same way. And so there's going to be personalities that collide, you know, that people are just not going to genuinely like one another, everyone. So we've got to see the bigger picture. So even though I may not, you know, prefer, you know, your style, or I may not like your style, I may not like the way that you present it, and vice versa, we got to look beyond that. It's got to be bigger than that. We've got to see the bigger picture, and the community moving forward is that bigger picture. And then the other thing, once again, is addressing a matter so that we can heal. So Tim, you said we don't have to like one another. Of course, we don't. It's always good when we do. But when there are issues that have arisen that has caused us to feel some kind of way about one another, we have to be mature enough that we confront one another without being confrontational, that we come together and we address whatever is bothering us, because in most instances, it's usually a misunderstanding, or there's some miscommunication, or there's missed communication, therefore there's misrepresentation. And so when we can sit down and work through that, we may realize what I was beefing with you about really was not anything worth beefing about. So we can work together and heal so that we can actually like each other when we're walking down the street, holding signs and holding hands.
Yep. Anybody else want to you know, jump in on this? And as we wrap up this session, I just wanted to
let me make sure I leave some tangibles. I want to leave some tangibles for people. One of the things that's tangible is in your private conversations, big up the organizations, big up people's work, judge people by their work, not what they say, but judge them by their work. And then if somebody goes against their word, hold them accountable for that in private. Go to them first. Don't go public, go to them first. And then if you have to go public, you got to go public. But again, go to the people first. But most importantly, give people credit where credit is due, regardless of whether you agree or disagree. Give them credit where credit is due, and send people to them. Give them the resources that they need. Don't block them in an attempt to do too much. A lot of us tend to jump in each other's lanes when we don't have to. If somebody's already doing it, then let people go to that organization. You might not like how they're doing it. Give them pointers on how to do it better. These are some real tangible things we can do to help build those relationships. And like, I love what King said. King said that we don't have to agree. We can agree to disagree. And I've heard that over the years a number of times. Actually, it was Vicky Quake Ferris who told it to me. But agree to disagree is a really great thing. And if you notice, the other communities are starting to argue, where our community needs to get that lesson from them, where for years they would never go public about their disputes. But now you're seeing that happen. This is our opportunity to take a lesson and start building each other up in public, and then behind closed doors, we air out our dirty laundry.
Very nice.
Can
I say something?
I'm going to say two parts here. I just want to say, as everyone is saying, it's about supporting each other, working through some things, but most importantly, it's about working on yourselves. And for me, that's through, I'm going to say it again, it's through education. So whether you are doing this because it will help you, like Precious said, she's doing it out of passion, it's neighborhood, that's her love. If it's Richard and he's working with youth, or Monique, or whoever that is, we're all doing what we do because we love it. There's a reason that motivates us. What I would continue to say is, making sure that we put education first, making sure that we break generational cycles, making sure that we inspire our children, our family, whoever that may be, by sharing your story with them to let them know that they can also be someone, they can be somebody, because you never know what someone is going through. But when you speak just a couple of positive words into them, or the fact that you may be the only brown face in place, like that is representation. This is why I love my job. I'm from 16th and Spencer. I've gone through all types of things in my life. I love what I do. And I love when people walk in and they see me, and I'm happy to see them. There's a million assumptions you could make about me, but you don't know me until you meet me. And so again, we're all who we're supposed to be, because we're there to stop stereotypes or to elevate. So again, I'm going to go back to working on yourselves, your personal relationships, but also doing that through education, looking for where you want to be in the next 3 to 5 years and what can you do now, whether it's partnering with people. Monique and I, when we talk about working in spaces, Monique encouraged me to do what I'm doing, just to start coaching. She's a coach, I'm a coach. And I said to her, Monique, I can't do it. She said, yes, you can, because there's enough for all of us, Monique. So go ahead and do it. And so we support each other all the time. I'd rather build someone up than tear them down. So again, find those people you do connect with, who when you're having a bad day, they can help you, and then do the things that you need to do to go ahead and level up with them. But I don't compete with anyone but myself. And so again, when you're thinking about those issues that you're having, who are you competing with? Is it someone else? Or are you really trying to compete with yourself to take yourself to the next level? So I just wanted to make sure I put that out there before we end this panel.
Right on.
Can I say something too?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, as far as building community, I think going forward, we need more focus on empowering our younger generations. I think we always have to have respect for our elders, but sometimes we got to start putting our younger leaders in position to move our communities forward. I think we have to eliminate that ceiling, because I feel like there is a ceiling for growth and upward mobility in our community. So we have to eliminate that and start empowering younger generations to take on leadership roles. Because we're going to keep seeing more young leaders leave our city and be wondering why and asking what's going on. I think there also has to be a more consistent focus on political education that's tailored towards our people, and also a stronger focus on community engagement that's more welcoming and less judgmental. And we really got to focus on tearing down systems that's been oppressing us for years, and we just have to be unapologetic about it, because they haven't been apologetic about oppressing us.
Right on.
Just piggybacking off of what Sorrell said really quick, when you're thinking about empowering and championing young people to become that voice, I would also encourage elders or those who are extremely experienced to also not be afraid to give constructive criticism. There are some people who have absolutely no problem doing that. They will tell you about yourselves. But there are also some people who will clap you along no matter what mistakes you make. And that way of handling a youth's leadership is improper, because they become an adult not knowing about the other routes that they could have took a little bit earlier on in their lives. For example, I started to feel like I was finding my pathway at 15, but I was starting in architecture. It took me 5 years to realize I wanted to be a real estate developer, but somebody could have told me about that or what I was going for earlier in time. I could be further ahead just by receiving that constructive criticism. So in the same way that you're championing young people, also make sure you're giving them that criticism so that they can grow in a timely manner.
Right on.
I would like to capture the fact that all of us have opportunity to sing praises to our many accomplishments. As a culture, people of color tend to not recognize efforts that are made by each other. We should be ringing the horns that, let's say someone got a promotion. That should be something worth celebrating, and we should all be saying congratulations about that. Seldomly do we do that, and that's something that we need to do a little bit more often.
Yeah, and as a community, that's helpful to recognize in terms of accomplishments. That's so helpful. Hey, we're going to have to wrap up, but before we do that, I wanted to Jabin, I want to really make sure our young people have a chance to kind of just speak a little bit. But Jabin, is there any other things that you want to say as we look at wrapping up?
Can you guys hear me okay? Because I know there's like a lag in my video. Okay, thank you. Well, yeah, going off of what Joel said, I think having accountability, that's the most important thing for our communities. We have so many things going on, and a lot of our younger people are we're trying to lead ourselves. And with that, there's a lot of misinformation out there. And so just having that guidance is really important. And then also accountability with the census. And I heard someone said earlier that we need to educate people on why we're doing the census and why it's important. So having context behind what we're being told to do is really important.
Right on. Hey, Willie.
I just want to throw it real quick. I think
go ahead.
Everybody's had a chance to weigh in twice, except for Monique Cannon, I believe. Monique, anything you want to add in before we get ready to transition?
I would just say, I think when it comes to, I would agree with Jabin. I think our young people are asking for the resources, they're asking for the help. They want us to weigh in. They want us to give that criticism that Joel was talking about. But I think most importantly, we have to get honest about where we are. Not just pretty stats and things of that nature. Sometimes the empowerment comes from the fact that we know where we really stand and where it is that we really need to get to. That gap is often, in my mind, we kind of lessen the gap. We talk a lot about it, but we really don't showcase it behind the scenes. So we really need to get honest about where it is. I mean, I work with these young people when it comes to reading, when it comes to mindset, when it comes to strategy, when it comes to development. A lot of times our kids are behind, and we have to be okay with knowing that in order to do something about that. Then we can develop the proper strategies to move them forward and to figure out what it is. But I don't believe in operating from a deficit. So if the bar is here, the bar is going to stay here. It's our job to get the kids or the young people from here to here. And so sometimes I don't feel like we do that. I think that we give passes, even while we're saying something different. So when it comes to education, if we're not working with Monique Cribbs and saying, okay, so at 16 years old, you can be taking these classes over at Metro at a discounted rate. Let's
dual enrollment.
But we haven't been doing that. And so we can track those things. We can work a little bit more strategically to get those things done, which I think in turn, we'll see that 5 years, 10 years down the road, we'll have a lot greater return when it comes to community development. So I'd love to see us doing a little bit more about that, but I think that we have to get honest. And I think the second thing that I would say is ensuring that we are okay with people not being polished. Okay, and by what I mean by that is sometimes we expect for people to say it the same way that we might say it, or maybe someone says it and it's edgy or it's not as proper or whatever the case is, but you have to filter through the mess to get to the message sometimes. And so whether the parent comes to me and they're cussing and fussing or whatever the case is, I have to listen to what it is that they say. They are meeting me in the space that they can. It's my job as the quote unquote professional to come and meet them where they are, but it's also my time to go out and find other people who maybe don't think like me, who don't speak like me, and put them on calls like this as well. And so just as well talking about building up generations, we also need to be looking at the Pookie and the Ray Ray down the street that you all know that's in your family, but we don't bring them to the table because we're afraid that they may not say it properly. I don't care how they say it, we need to hear it. It's time to start being honest about what it is, and where it is that we are. So.
Thank you. Hey, Willie, as you wrap us up on this session, if I could, all the panelists, I want you to think about, you got 30 seconds, right? But just one takeaway, one takeaway, one thought that that really will force us to think about what's next. It could be this year, it could be the next 3 years, but just really think about a quick statement of what's next for the Black community. And Willie, go ahead. As you're thinking about that, we'll give you a little time to think about, but go ahead and if you want to kind of summarize everything, and we can kind of move forward from there.
It's a beautiful thing, Tim. I want to go back to what has been said, I think, in different ways by everybody on this panel. But I'm going back to specifically what Monique ended with and where Leo started. It's about the streets and it's about the suites. And we have been divided for so long across, not just in Omaha, but across. And what the beautiful thing is I see starting to happen is those groups recognizing, as Leo said, everybody has a different strength. Everybody has a different role to play, respecting that, honoring that, celebrating that. And I think that's what I'm seeing more happening right now in Omaha than I've ever seen before. And so being able to have those tough, difficult conversations one-on-one, we don't always have to be out in the public having that conversation. We can be on a, and really maximizing the brilliance of everybody in this, on this panel, in the previous panel, in the future panels, and in our community. There is so much brilliance in Omaha. How do we really tap into it, collectively work together? And just something else real quick, as people are still thinking about their 30-second close. I just want to be real public about it. Give an example. When we talk about succession planning and interacting with each other, Preston Love and I, we've been working together the last 3 months more so than we have in the last 15 years. And we had some back and forth issues, and we didn't really hardly talk to each other for almost 3 years. And then
believe me, I understand.
I had to get to a point where this man worked in the civil rights movement. Harold Washington, Dr. King. We are crazy if we don't figure out a way to tap into his mind and his brain. On the other side, Leo, we had some issues a couple years ago, but Leo and I have been able to sit down and have conversation. We had a conversation 2 weeks ago, brilliant ideas and recommendations that he was bringing to the table. So collectively, I think we're in a season right now that if we can really tap into it and recognize everything that's been said across this board, we have the opportunity to do some things like we have never, ever seen before.
Absolutely.
Longer than the 30 seconds that you wanted, but that's what's on my mind right now.
But you know, to that point, Willie, it's about really getting to the common good for everyone, regardless of our differences. Is really, we're at a point where we have to look at what's the common ground of how do we move forward collectively, because that's where the power is. So I don't know who want to kick us off. I'm seeing Richard Webb. He's all attentive and focused. Do you want to kick us off, maybe? But you only got 30 seconds.
You know, I will kick us off, but I'm gonna give it to my sister Precious because she had her hand up. So I'm gonna let my sister kick us off.
Precious did have her hand.
Come on, Precious.
I'm sorry, Precious.
That's okay. I'm about to say, like, right now, what's important. Number one, we've seen that politically, not saying just overall policy-wise, people are more engaged than they've ever been before. So critically, like what we need in the next 100 days is that people need to understand, number one, you need to make sure your censuses are in, and you need to make sure that you're voting on November 3rd. You also need to make sure that you're voting up and down the ballot, and realize that your local elections impact you first before your federal. Those are very important offices, but make sure you're voting locally. Make sure you're getting the people who are actually making changes in your state that hits you first before federal laws. We have that power in our community to elect people that look like us, to elect people who align with our policies and our values. So just make sure that you're taking that time to understand. Also, to our returning citizens who have completed their felon sentences, you can vote 2 years after your sentence is complete. After you are off papers, meaning you don't report to anybody, you can vote. So we need to make sure that we are getting that message out that they can go and register to vote once they're 2 years off that. Just have to make sure, because a lot of people don't understand that they can vote. A lot of people don't understand the importance of why they need to be voting. So I just put that call to action is that this year, vote like you've never voted before. Next year, vote like you've never voted before, because you have the power to make a lot of change in your community. And then you hold your elected officials accountable. You hold them accountable. You hold the people who represent them. You hold everybody accountable who's making policy change. And if they're not uncomfortable, don't let them get comfortable. Make them uncomfortable, because when they're uncomfortable, they're going to do their job. So that's all I have to say.
Okay. Next.
Well, I'll go ahead next, since I gave the first to my sis. Great job, Precious, as usual. My biggest thing moving forward is unity and speaking up. A lot of us, like Leo Lewis said, we have different platforms that we have the availability to serve on, or to be in rooms that a lot of us may not be in. And for me, when I've done this, deep dig into myself the last 2-3 years, I'm not being quiet. I am speaking what's on my heart. I am simply doing what's right, understanding that If me speaking up in a room takes me out of that room, which some of them have, I work under God. I work under his will and under his wisdom. And, you know, selfishly, internally, I've told my board this, and Tim serves on my board. If there's something that I do that I believe is right, that a lot of people don't agree with, and I lose the opportunity to serve in my position, I believe I can go back to sales and make a lot more money. I'm doing this because I want to be a servant leader.
Don't put us in that situation, brother. Don't put us in that situation.
But I think that is the biggest thing. There's been some rooms over the past couple of weeks, and I've told Willie Barney about this, that I've been able to speak at. And, you know, I just truly said, you know, the only way that we will move forward is united, whether that is black and white, whether that is white and black, whether that is Mexican, Latino, whatever the case may be. The only way forward is unity, because a house divided will not stand.
There you go.
And the last thing I'll say is, just because they look like you doesn't mean they're always for you. And on the opposite side is the same exact way. And that's not a political realm. That's just being honest, being transparent, and understanding if the more we can get to help do the work and authentically do the work, the further we can go.
And I would like to echo and say that having a good moral compass will take us a long way.
Okay. All right. So next.
I'm just
moral compass, unity, vote.
I'm going to piggyback on just what Richard was talking about as far as using your voice. I think sometimes we always have these good intentions, but we always have to remember that intentions don't equal outcomes. You know, now it's time to work. So that status quo stuff is out the door at this point. We learned that through COVID. It's time to pivot. We have to do the things that we actually need to be doing, or the things that we were supposed to be doing that maybe we hadn't been held accountable to. So I'd say use your voice, be authentic. Each one of us has talents. We all know we have talents. It's the thing you can't shake. When people say, well, what's passion? Well, it's something that you absolutely love. It's deeply rooted. You're not going to ever be able to shake it. So you might as well stay in that lane, own that lane, and just go. So I think that the more that we decide that we're going to do that, it's that stay ready so you don't have to get ready mentality. I truly, truly believe that if we can get there and we can understand that the power lies in each and every one of us, you do not have to have positional power to make a difference in the community. So if someone didn't give you a title, go earn that title, whatever the case is.
No, that's right.
Makes you feel better. But decide what your lane is, own it, and let's go. It's time. It's time to work.
I love it. Just go. So go ahead, Leo. Last thoughts. 60. I was going to say 60 seconds.
You said 30 seconds. Real quick, I want to make sure I put this out there. On the 31st of May, when there was a rally held at the Malcolm X Foundation, the police chief wanted to shut the city down at 6 p.m. He called Willie Barney, asked Willie Barney, what could I do? And Willie Barney, without talking to me, looked out for that rally and told the chief that you need to wait till 8 p.m. because the Malcolm X Foundation needs to have that rally, and it's a voice that needs to be heard, and the chief listened to him. Now, me and Willie hadn't had no conversation in months. We hadn't looked at each other, etc. And he still looked out for the entire city in the best interest of the Black community, saying that that voice needs to be heard. That's the way we come together. We look out for each other. And again, remember, understand we're in a pandemic. This is not for play. So any of the things that you've been thinking you need to do them. Listen to spirit. Listen to spirit. We cannot be running around functioning our ego. We got to check ourselves. If you're a fasting person, please fast. If you're a praying person, please pray. I pray, I affirm, and I fast so that I can get back to myself. Like Monique said, and the other Monique said, get educated and get into yourself so that you can be right in your right mind so that we can build those relationships. That's my 30 seconds.
Right on. Strong.
Can I go?
Yes.
Oh, I would say just power to the people. And I just want to just say the power is in our unity. We got to encourage each other to be perfect. None of us is perfect. We got to be there for each other. We also got to remember that we're Black before anything, before any title, before any job. We got to remember that we're one. I would say register to vote and elect individuals that will fight for us November 3rd. And lastly, I would just say if we're a village, let's be a village. We can't be divided and complain when the kids burn it down.
Yeah. Right on. Next.
I guess I'll go. Well, you know, my motto is love thy neighbor. These are the ethics that I learned in Hilltop Projects. These are our.
I'm from the Hilltop Projects.
Oh
too.
yeah, hey, Hilltop Projects, baby. Oh yeah, we fed each other for real. But
Right.
also when we was mischievous, oh yeah, they'll let you know when you're mischievous too. So I think we need to spread Black love. Black love is what we need on all realms. And so, no, I appreciate all the efforts that you guys are doing behind the scenes to bring the Black media together. Everybody's eating right now, and everybody's looking out for each other. So I appreciate that, just the effort for making sure that everybody can eat during this time. And I feel that we need to use our intelligent wealth, because I believe we are the leaders right here in Omaha, Nebraska. We about it. OND, ain't nobody, we ain't number two when you're number one. And so I believe everything's gonna come from right here from Omaha, Nebraska. We about it. So I feel so good right now. I wish I could give all y'all a big old hug right now.
Right.
So,
right. You can a virtual hug.
So man, right now, this is an example. This is how God wants us to behave. I want to encourage us to continue to do this, of course, and then we all gonna work on that skill to agree to disagree, so we can continue to move forward. All right.
Right on. We got to move on. Cribs, Monique.
Yes, Tim. So my words of wisdom before I leave is, invest in yourself, but going back to what Monique Cannon said, it's about passion, figuring out what it is that you love. Jewel talked about it. You may not have a word for it, but you know what it is. You know where you're pulled. You know where you love putting your time into it, but don't forget about your children. So making sure you're investing in them. You have Partnership for Kids. You got 100 Black Men. My son was a part of that. I'm an alumni of Partnership for Kids. You got Avenue Scholars. You got Boys and Girls Club. I'm gonna shout all of them.
North Star, yeah.
Girls Club, North Star. Everyone has programs. Everybody has programs, and everything is online. Invest in your children and invest in yourself, because your babies are watching you. Whatever you do, they will follow. If you don't want them to go down the path you went down, then stop doing it. Do something different. Don't be afraid. Walk that, break the generational things that have held you back, that you've seen, that you did not want. Break it so your babies can move forward, so you can move them forward as well. So again, investing in yourself, investing in your children, because we have resources. The world may have stopped, meaning we can't go outside. We can't. You got to have a mask on. But the resources are online. So invest in those. Invest.
I think, Willie, did everyone got a chance to share their last thoughts? I think we're good.
We can get Jabin.
Jabin, did we get?
And Jewel.
I thought, okay, come on. Okay, go ahead, you guys. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'll just say really quickly, I'm just really proud to even be able to be here with you all, because I really see the Omaha Black community as really connected and really just empowering. So I think it's a matter of just being plugged into that. There's so much that I didn't know of until I got involved with 75 North, and seeing all of the Black organizations that we empower through our organization, and then also just the people that come through there. We really have so many movers and shakers within our community, and I think it's a matter of being plugged in and also bringing other people to experience that too, and that contributes to the uplift of our community as a whole if we know what's going on. So
right on. All right, Jewel. Jewel, I wish you could give us a little poem. And Jewel is a poet. But I ain't gonna put you on the spot. But go ahead, you just come in your own way. Okay? She's an artist. She's an artist too, just like me. Okay.
So I, not to even front, just real quick, like really fill out the census. Make sure money is getting to your community for all of those support programs that Miss Monique was talking about. Like that, taking that step makes those programs stronger. On a personal note, in terms of just maintaining your own like personal health and clarity, I feel like the better you are at understanding who you are, what you're doing, and why you are doing it, the better able you are to serve others. If you're kind of in personal turmoil internally, it makes it a lot harder for you to pour into anything else, really at any given time. And that may be different for other people. Some people get their energy from serving, and that then feeds them. And for some people, it's the other way around. So I would say figure out, what works best for you, but try hard to maintain your sense of purpose and a sense of clarity, so that you can be more strategic in the way that you help others.
Right on, right on. You guys, we have, thank you. Just unbelievable exchange there in dialogue, but I'm asking that you stay with us. We have a awesome, more kind of a business entrepreneurship. We're going to talk about just economic development. We have a internationally renowned rap artist that's going to join us on this last segment, King ISO from Omaha. And we're going to hear from him in terms of what's resonating with him with all this stuff that's going on. So we're going to transition right now, but please stay with us and continue to share the link so people can get in on, really, we're going to talk some dollars. This is about how do we win when it comes to economic development and business ownership. And you're going to hear some folks that's actually doing it. And hopefully they'll share some of their secret sauce. So we're going to transition out, Willie, and we can get ready for the next panel from there. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Everybody. Thank you all. Thank you, Tim. Thank you to all the panelists. Reminder, as you're transitioning out, as the commercial is playing, we can hear everything. So just right, Precious?
Yeah. Put everything. Put your microphones.
That was for Precious. That was for Precious.
Yeah. Put your microphones on mute. Okay. Right on.
Hello, I'm Dr. Dele Davies. As you know, COVID-19 has been especially hard on African American communities. But there are 3 things we can all do to keep our communities safe.
You can stay safe by staying home if you can.
Wear your mask when you go out.
And stay a safe 6 feet physical distance away from other people.
Stay home, stay safe, support the village. A message by North Omaha COVID-19 Community Task Force.
My name is Avon. Since I was 3, I was living with just me and my mom.
Mentoring has had a positive impact on Avon's life in so many different ways.
So Avon has been matched with me now for about 6.5 years.
Having a mentor helped him trust people.
I feel like I can talk to him about anything.
It's just amazing the type of impact that you have that you may not even know that you're having.
By now you've heard it's a good idea to wear a face covering in public.
Please do not take it personally.
Your mask protects me, my mask protects you.
But here's the key. Make sure it covers your mouth and nose.
Like this.
It's easy, Douglas County, so please wear a mask.
I'm seeing young, upcoming leaders in our community already stepping up to the plate and being mature and helping their families, their community, and the people that they love to make sure that we all get through this together.
Hey. Well, you guys, welcome back. Welcome back to The People Are Rising, presented by Moving People to Action. We only talk to do in conversations that lead to solutions. This is the money. This is money time. And so what I would like to do before we get started, I would like to have my man Joshua El Stupo. Can you hear me, Josh?
Yeah, I'm loud and clear, man. It's the grown folk part of the show. What's happening, Tim?
Right on, man. Right on.
Yes, sir.
I would like for you to introduce King ISO, and just and then I would like him to just start this session off with what's resonating with him, really on the COVID-19, the health, but also just really just what he's going through, and that he can really shed some light in terms of just our way forward. This is a session, all this is about how do we move forward? What's next? How do we get down? What's the tools and resources?
Yes, sir. I just want to say, appreciate everybody. It's been amazing just listening to everybody. And the information is super duper valuable. It's funny because I'm that cousin Ray she was talking about. The person that says what he mean what he say, has a lot of value. And sometimes it might come off my vernacular as just, unorthodox at times. But I remember, Tim, when I was sitting down with you and you told me about this vision you had for this Zoom call meeting that we're having, and ISO popped up right in my head. I'm big on mental health, man. I'm a comedian. Laughter is medicine. As you know, I was on a 70-city comedy tour with some of the biggest named comedians known to date. And once the Cooties came out, man, that totally got canceled. So I asked that King ISO come along. Not only is he an amazing artist that signed to one of the biggest independent labels in the world with Strange Music, but he's an awesome human being, and he overcame his mental health issues, man. And it was just an honor for him to just be like, hey, man, I want to be a part of it. He did it without any questions asked, man. And he's here, man. So everybody should be really, really excited for that. And I'll let him take it away real quick before we get into the nitty gritty,
I appreciate you, man. It's definitely an honor. When I saw the opportunity and I seen that, pretty much like everything, just so far, because I was like, okay, I had to get hip. You know what I mean? So I went and did my research, seeing what everybody was speaking about, and seeing how the goal was to come together. You know what I mean? And just to unite people as a whole, man. I think that's a beautiful thing, especially us. You know what I mean? Like this is something I've definitely been wanting to be a part of for so long. So me knowing and like just what I've been through, period, when dealing with mental health, I know that it's not something that's super duper touched in the mainstream media. And I know just as an African American male, and just in the Black community, period, mental health is such a big thing, and it's something that I've seen for many years be kind of pushed to the wayside. Like it's not something that people really talk about. And it's something I feel like we've all either been affected by it in some way, shape, or form, or we know somebody that's dealing with it that kind of affects us in some way, shape, or form. So that's kind of like what I felt like my calling was after, getting over my battles and being blessed to be able to, be signed to a big label and go do shows in front of, 10, 20,000 people and spread that message. Like, it's cool. There are resources you could get. I'm here to help. Just to be a voice and a pillar of strength. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. Again, if you have any resources, because I know I'm one of the co-founders of Omaha United for Youth, a nonprofit organization. Myself and Andre Rash and my wife and Bianca Harley started. And of course, we couldn't do it without Precious McKesson being on the board. That's my dog, Precious for president, and Ebony Austin as well. I know that they brought up some issues with the mental health. We've known people directly where teen suicide was at an all-time high here recently. And I'm gonna tell y'all something, man, with COVID-19, people being stuck in the house, some people aren't as creative as others and can't be busy or enjoy simple things, even when they was restricting, walks or going to the park and just getting outside. It was a scary thing for a lot of people. I know when I do shows from city to city, state to state, and I get those people, ISO, I know you can attest to this, that come up to you after the show and they just thank you for the laughter, for the time. I know we did a flood benefit with the flood happening in Nebraska, and it was crazy where we were hosting the benefit show. That's where they were housing some of the people that were affected by the flood. And man, when they came into the show, a gentleman gave me a hug and he said, "Thank you, man, appreciate it." And I said, yeah, no doubt. I hear that all the time. And he just looked me in the eyes and he said, no, man, really, thank you. We really appreciate it. We're victims of the flood. You know what I mean? So I think at this time, it's a huge deal to mental health to address that. And we appreciate you being here, ISO, and definitely from a business owner standpoint, my wife, we got several companies. My wife is the owner of Maximum Heights Academy. It's a child development center. And also we just recently opened up, her and her sister, opened up Dripped and Draped. It's a coffee/boutique in the Benson area that is thriving. And I'm gonna tell y'all something, man. We had a grand opening between my brother, myself, my wife, her sister, and a few family members just getting in there, trying to get it open. And we had our grand opening was supposed to be dated for the day after they announced the state of emergency. You guys don't even understand what type of panic that could put somebody in. We're opening up a company in the middle of a pandemic, man. And I tell you what, I looked at my wife, I said, I don't know what's gonna be great coming out of this pandemic, but it's gonna be some greatness. And we got innovative, man. We started creating different opportunities for the business and things like that. And I think it's really important as an entrepreneur just to change with the change. It's a book called Who Moved My Cheese, man. It's a 70-page read. It's basically just about two mice where they had the cheese in one spot and they ended up moving the cheese, and the mouse kept on going back to the same spot where the cheese was at, and the other mouse kept moving. And essentially the one mouse died because he wouldn't change with the change, while the other mouse survived by going to different spots where they moved the cheese. So right now it's the time to be innovative and go chase your cheese, man. It's not time to be sitting around and worrying. Because I tell you what, man, it all starts in the mind. It all starts in the mind. And with Tim, I just want to thank you, man, I know you've been one of my biggest mentors, man, throughout my whole comedy career, and just opening doors. And I'm not going to take up too much time. I got to definitely plug this event of laughter. I have a drive-in comedy event. So please come out and enjoy yourself while social distancing. You can come to the drive-through, sit inside your vehicle, hear the jokes through your car, or you can get outside and sit on the driver's side and come enjoy the laughter, because I think it's a big deal, and that's August 15th, man. So I have a lot of information for that, but I'll let everybody else talk. I know you got a lot to say, and I'm just thankful, man. Let's talk about it.
Hey, that's one thing about this segment. These are, not that we didn't have business people in other segments, but the business folks gonna always find an opportunity to get it in and sell something. You wouldn't be in business if if you wouldn't be in business if you didn't do that, right?
That.
So Willie, you want to get us kicked off, and I know we have a very dynamic group of panelists. I don't know where you want to start, man.
Yeah, no, let's get it. Let's get into it. A lot of the things we've been working on over the years, man. We're talking about working to reduce unemployment. We've been talking about increasing education, but at the end of the day, if we don't have wealth and ownership, we're going to be having the same conversation 20, 30 years from now. So this group, you got to bring us home, man. We got to talk about increasing wealth. One of the things before we jump in, and we just go around, something that we need to address, and even something that you want to put on the table that needs to happen right now to make sure that we have the strongest Black business economy anywhere in the country. How do we make that happen in Omaha? And one thing, to your point, Joshua, is one of the things in my corporate career I found out is companies that invest in the downturn, when it turns back up, they're the ones that take off. The ones that pull back and try to hold back, they're the ones that either don't recover or they grow at a very slow pace. So it's the ones that are innovating right now. So let me throw it out. Lupe, you one of the fastest growing, I put that out on you, one of the fastest growing businesses that I'm aware of as far as in the Black community, and maybe even broadly. Talk about something that's on your mind regarding business and maybe something we need to put on the table to move us forward to build wealth.
Good evening, y'all. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Good. Lupe Co. With Cloud Enterprises. That's who I'm repping today. I got a couple other businesses as well to name. An associate, own an insurance agency, and also Refined Properties. I'm a real estate investor. I think I'm mostly known lately for Cloud Enterprises. It's a logistics company in which I have an Amazon contract. I have about 120 employees, and we run anywhere from 35 to 40 routes a day. More than likely before the end of the year, I'll probably hit pretty close to 200 employees. You know, some of those will be seasonal, so I'll probably settle down about 150 by you know, the first part of next year. But what's on my mind is growth within your business, scaling your business. I think when it comes to business in the state of Nebraska, especially Black business, and not enough of us are employing our own or scaling our businesses so that we can employ more people. And I know that it's not as easy with all businesses, especially right now during this pandemic. But I think that's always been on my mind. I think it should be a focus. It should be purposeful, you know, and also trying to do our best to use other Black businesses in our services. I try anytime I have to do anything, the first thing I look for is there anybody Black doing it? And then one thing that I always do as well is if I won't use them, I'm gonna let them know why to the side. Say, you know what, this is why I can't use you right now. But I want you to come back to me because I want to use you if you can get this one or two things together. And I think that's very important that we that we support in that way as well.
One of the things we've heard from the previous panel is we need to stop, recognize, and celebrate when brothers are doing stuff, man. And congratulations as a new father, but also congratulations when you say that you've grown to a point where you're going to have 200 employees, man. We need to celebrate and recognize that. That's strength, man. That's what we need to do. I want to jump over to Casanova Brooks. Casanova has, in the time I've known him, probably had as a big of impact on Black home ownership as any person in the city, I believe. Casanova, what's on your mind regarding this, on business ownership, wealth building right now in Omaha for Black folks? Oh, you're on mute, Casanova. There
Got it. Yeah. So first, I would say thank you for having me on. Thank you, Tim, for reaching out. Super honored to be on this panel. I know that there's a lot of movers and shakers in here. And so Omaha, just as it was said on the last call, I feel like we have a lot of young and even older Black entrepreneurs and thought leaders that doesn't get enough credit. And so I'm excited to be on this panel. When we talk about what's exactly on my mind, I think over the last year and a half, I've been super excited about the opportunities that I've been blessed with, not only in real estate and, like you said, home ownership, but then at the same time of just, I feel like as a Black entrepreneur, we have every opportunity right now in this space to be able to do whatever it is that we want. So a lot of people know me from real estate, and I've been fortunate enough to help Lupe and Richard and Arthur Lyle and a lot of people, you know, move forward with not only home ownership in their primary home, but also understanding the value that we all have and investing in the real estate, and then be, you know, using that money to then go build businesses and everything else. But I think that there's something else, like, I guess at the end of the day, for me, it's always about ownership, and it's always about building something really big. And so when we talk about that, I think right now, even if you're in the standpoint of, I don't necessarily want to own real estate, or I don't want to own that, I think that we can still move forward by owning our own companies and start off just as a service-based business. And so what do I mean by that? I think that there's a lot of people right now that have a specific gift or a talent. If we're consuming social media all day long, think about what problem that you can solve that still can be able to create some money in your pocket, which then you can use to own other things, specifically real estate. So in the world of just real estate, I think that, well, I know, and if you look it up, there's a stat that says that 78% of the wealth in at least America is tied to real estate, right? And primarily tied to personal homes. So my plight with a lot of the times Black people, and especially the older generations, they have a lot of equity and wealth built up in their property, but understanding that if we don't tap into that, if we don't leverage that to create businesses, if we don't leverage that to create, you know, other economic development cohorts, right, then essentially it's just like monopoly money. And I've talked to so many people, not only here in Omaha, but is that they've owned their property, or their grandparents have owned their property for 20, 30, 40 years. But it's like, okay, have you used that to then leverage to start something else or to own more properties? And people don't. So at the end of the day, we don't get that compound interest effect. And so I think that it just comes with financial literacy. And I think it more so comes with us being open and sharing, because a lot of the times in the Black community, what I find is like people are so secretive. And like prime example, I think it's not only in the Black community, right? But there was, so my neighbor right next door, he's getting a fence put up, right? And so he had a guy come out, and this was literally just 10 minutes before the call. So he had a guy come out, and he's an Hispanic guy, and I guess he works side jobs for S&W. And so he was talking about, he basically gave me a bid on how much it would be to just fence my yard. And then he was talking about how much money, and he was like, oh, I could get like $1,000 a day doing this and this and this. And I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, man. And I was like, well, how much do you pay for material? And he was like, I can't really tell that. Right. And so I'm like, bro, I could just Google it. Like I could figure out, like, your price is your price. And this happens a lot in the Black community, because people, you'll be like, how much did you pay for that car? People like, I can't tell you that. Whereas if you told me that, you like, if you were just honest about it and you said, I paid 60, like Lupe, I know what he pays for his cars. He knows what I pay. It's not a secret, right? But then here's the other part. If you were to be like, yeah, they actually gave me like a 3.9% interest, I might be like, yo, that's a little bit high. I got my guy at Centris. Let me connect you with him and see, because I know that people are getting 1.9% interest rates, but we're so secretive. And so that's my biggest frustration a lot of the times, like especially in real estate, it's all transparent. People want to know up front, like, okay, what is your fees? What is your commissions? It's not too hard to tell if somebody's going to get 2.4% or 3% or something like that. So I think for me, it's really, and I think it was said on the last call or the last panel about sharing more information.
Right?
That's right. And that's my biggest thing. I think in all levels, we got to share more information. And I've been fortunate enough since, in the beginning, I didn't have a lot of conversations with people outside of, I would say, a little bit of my circle. Not that I didn't want to, but it just felt like there was such a break, especially from people that were from Omaha and me not being an actual native. And I'll tell you, one of the people, all
right, Casanova, hold on just a minute. You rolling.
Yeah, I was just gonna give a little praise, but yeah, no.
Go ahead. I'm gonna let you give some praise, and then we're gonna jump over and hit Dante. I want him to stay into that mode of building wealth, but I appreciate what you're saying, because that sharing of information, a lot of times, especially when it's dealing with money, we just do not share. So go ahead, finish up, and then we'll go to Dante.
Yeah, and I thought it was relevant because, again, I think a lot of people, especially in our community that's hearing it right now, there are a lot of pioneers. But I was just going to give praise that I thought in the later stages, like Josh El Stupo, we sat down a couple different times, and we had lunch. And I mean, the sharing of information, and even to the point when this pandemic first started, right, we reached out to both each other because both of our wives own these daycares. And so it was just, again, that collaboration over competition mindset that I think can really help propel us forward.
Yeah, that's powerful right there. And I want to jump over. Thank you, Casanova. Dante, jump into this, man. We're talking about building wealth. We talked about Casanova, talked about home ownership. We've heard from Lupe about growing his business, taking it to scale. What do you want to throw into the conversation?
I just want to say, man, I appreciate Mr. Tim Clark, you, Willie, all the panelists that's just been a part of this beautiful situation right now. It's an honor to be a part of it. I also want to say, I'm going to start with this. I am actually 3 years in of sobriety, so that's a blessing, of being off of drugs and stuff. Now to this date, I am actually currently a youth counselor for the state of Nebraska, so that's a blessing. So I work with a lot of youth out here, troubled youth, trying to get them in the right direction. I forgot her name. I think it's Miss Monique. She was on the last panel. Maybe we can hook up later on, or contacts or something like that. But I'm gonna piggyback off of Casanova. It goes off of just sharing the information, man. That's very important, man. Like I said, I feel like Omaha, Nebraska, as a whole, and then it's a lot of talented people here, whether it's music, whether it's business, designs, or just etc. They always that one person always wants to try to be above the next person and stuff, you know what I'm saying? And I just feel like it starts at unity, it's some things that I might not know that another person might know when it comes to business, or when it comes to just with your talents, period, you know what I mean? And like I said, if we just do that, you would be amazed how our city would grow as a whole, stuff, But I got a lot of stuff I do want to get off my chest though, on another topic wise though. But as far as and this goes with I really want to talk about. I know we're talking about business and stuff like that, but I really, before it goes out of my mind, I really want to talk about what are we going to do with our kids as far as OPS? You know what I mean? I feel like that's very important. Hopefully Mr. Ricky Smith is in here, Mr. Markel Snow is in here, Richard, it's all love, Mr. Webb, man, you know what I'm saying? Probably was like I said, a misunderstanding. I would like to apologize on that note. You know what I'm saying? We all grown men, you know what I'm talking about and stuff. But I just want to elaborate on virtual and virtual learning and I think it's remote learning. You know what I'm saying? I'm very passionate with my kids' education. You know what I mean? And I just really want Mr. Ricky Smith to, if he can, to elaborate on that. What you guys gonna do about this OPS? I'm very involved in the OPS board meetings and stuff like that. I know I didn't fell off the topics and stuff like that, but that's my passion. That's what I want to know what's going on. You know what I mean? So apologize about that.
No, that's all right. No need to apologize, man. I see a note from Ricky that he is on the line. So maybe as we get towards the end of this, we can have him come on because it's important to all of us. I've got a daughter in school too, so I want to hear about it. Tim, I'm gonna jump over to Dell and then I'll let you pick it up. But
okay.
Dell, we talk about it well, man. We want to celebrate brothers and sisters that are doing work, man. You're highly sought after across the country, working for the Federal Reserve. And man, what's on your mind right now? You've done a lot of national work, local work. When we talk about building wealth, building ownership, what do we need to hit on?
Yeah, first of all, we'd be remiss if we're talking about entrepreneurs not to say rest in power to Marshall Taylor African American Bookstore.
That's right.
Everybody needs to get this book. It's a big book, Dr. Amos Wilson, Blueprint for Black Power. Very important. We've been talking about COVID. I actually have COVID right now, so I'm self-isolating in the basement. So my energy level is not low. Plus, Tim didn't tell me I was going to be on past my normal bedtime.
Sorry about that.
I think one of the things that's important, and I'm really excited to be with all of these, great men on this panel. And I don't know if Felicia's on, but Felicia's well on the previous panel. What's really exciting to me is seeing a lot of these millennial and younger leaders, coming up. Because Willie, you weren't even in town when I was coming up around a lot of these guys' ages. I know Tim was, but really there was very few of us out there. It's probably me, and maybe Chris Rogers from our age group that were really out there. And now I see so many different younger individuals in business and entrepreneurship and community and associated in a way that we never did when I came up. So I'm really proud of you all, proud that you're in my community and you're doing great things. So I think it's important when we have this conversation is the problem is orientation. Like I've heard a lot of people in the previous panels talk about the need for unity, the need for relationships, the need for this, that, and the third. But all energy requires a direction, right? So energy without direction is just random. And I've been saying for 20, almost 30 years now that you have to be able to control your own space. And you have to be able to control your own environment and your own productivity to the degree in which is possible. And what we're seeing today with all this Black Lives Matter stuff, with what's happening to us in COVID, is a direct result of us not pursuing the necessary power and understanding and control of our economics, going back since the Civil Rights Movement. I would never deviate from it because the logic is plain to see. Like we own nothing, we control nothing, and therefore we have to go agitate and rally to get people to give us stuff that we should have been working for the last 50 years. So now we're in this condition where we go out and we're happy because some white people come out and say Black Lives Matter with us, when Black lives should have mattered enough to us going back 50 years to control our own destiny. Best time to plant a tree is today. The second best time to plant a tree is today. The best time was 20 years ago, but 20 years have passed. So we need to reorient ourselves moving forward to really understand what this nation is built on, which is democratic capitalism. We focused on the democracy and we left the capitalism aside. And as a result, what you see is this fragmented, broken race with a lot of energy and a lot of talent, but we're still chasing the dragon, if you will. And you will never catch somebody that's ahead of you by running the same speed. And that's what this whole equity conversation is about, right? Whenever we say equity, we're basically saying the same immediate opportunity. But for us to actually get ahead, it's logic, right? If you're 50 yards ahead of me in a race, the only way that I'm gonna catch you or even pass you is if you slow down or I speed up, if I'm running faster than you. The only way you run faster than an alternative group is something other ethnic groups have already figured out, is by being able to control the innovation and the entrepreneurial behaviors of your economy and the economic development strategies that work with that. Yet this is the space where we're the least in, right? We're the least in this space. I guarantee you, if you look at everybody that was on the prior panels, and it's no disrespect to these fields because I'm in it, but they're probably all heavily oriented towards personal or services or social service orientations or social service degrees and things of that nature. And while that energy is great, if it's unbalanced, which it is, without the entrepreneurial intent or the innovative intent on the backside, on the cultural side, on the vision side, then what you have is misapplied energy, and we end up where we're at now. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, well said, well said, well said. Let's go to Raheem Sanders, innovator, entrepreneur, kind of from what's resonating with you, and how do we get out of this thing and use economics in terms of as our guide to get there.
All right. Well, greetings, everybody. For those who don't know me, I'm Raheem Sanders. I'm founder of PPRP Innovations. It's a product development company more focused on product development and public health. And I'm also founder of Cleanse the Beverage, the only beverage where you can get 2+ servings of fruit and vegetables in one tasty beverage. One of the, I guess, issues I believe that we had before the COVID-19 pandemic, and it's also relevant during the COVID-19 pandemic, is that a lot of our businesses, especially some of those that have shut down due to the recession, we would grow a lot of businesses without the understanding of the logistics behind them. A lot of times we get into I guess, entrepreneurship with the intent to do something, that's on your heart, but really don't spend the time to focus on the logistics of it all. And I think we've seen a lot of that with the outcome of how COVID-19 has been shutting down a lot of these businesses depending on capital that they don't have, that's running against logistics that, aren't efficient. And that's, really, causing, negative energy, like my guy Dale was saying, causing negative energy to pretty much all of those involved. And when something like this happens, it really, I guess, reveals what type of logistics are behind those type of initiatives. So one of the things that I think we should do now is, as we start new ventures and even the ventures that we already have going on, just really taking the time to look at all of the logistics involved, understanding, clearly what your vision is and everything that needs to be done to accomplish that particular vision. And most critically, no matter what you do, if you're out serving the public and you're doing it for some type of payment, just making sure you got a business model behind it, and it's something that you're employing on a regular basis and something that you're looking at and something that you understand transparently. So as you're making moves and you're spending money or you're acquiring investments or you're, hiring different people to help you accelerate your initiatives, you're understanding exactly why you're hiring them and how they're going to advance you and take you to the next plateau in your vision. So that's a challenge that I have with a lot of the new entrepreneurs, especially, trying to get something done during this COVID pandemic.
Well, as we look, I know Ricky Smith joined us, and Ricky, if you could, let me let the panelists get through one more question, and then we can deal with Tizzy, Dante, first, the question that you had. But if we could, if King ISO, I want to really take advantage of just who you are and how things resonate with you. But if you could start off, and if everyone could answer this same question, what do we need to see in place in the next 1 to 3 years to move forward the ecosystem of Black economics in the Black community, both internally first, looking at ourselves first, and externally? I mean, there's a lot there, but then what types of community benefits as part two of that question, what types of benefits, community benefits and impact do we need to see and expect from those not residing, but investing within our community? So that is kind of twofold, but once you take a shot at the first part there in terms of just how do we move forward with developing the ecosystems for Black economics in the Black community?
You're speaking on you're asking on a standpoint from within or from the outside?
From within the community first, and then let's look at it from the perspective outside looking in.
Okay, so I think from within, everybody can pretty much like agree, and this is like I want to say like a stigma that surrounds us is I feel like the number one thing is unity. I feel like who was talking, Casanova was talking about something earlier. He was just asking like a simple question on just kind of like inquiring about information. And I think what I've seen, just what I've seen personally, I've seen so much as a divide, because I think just how our circumstances are to begin with. So a lot of people are more focused on, I'm building my brand, or I'm building this for me and mine. I understand that, because people want to create what they can for their families, generational wealth, whatever it be. But I feel like in the grand scheme of things, to see us as a whole, there needs to be a lot more partnership. I think people need to extend their hand more as far as like, information or opportunities, or just some people just don't know how to get some people don't know how to get a hold of resources. They're not in the know.
Right.
Like once you do that, once people know where to go, like there's some like just random, like I feel like there are some people that don't even know about food drives. There are people that literally just don't know where to go to get a start, and they have every good intention. And I feel like it starts with the people that do have resources and, just a whole lot going, that can just extend that. And then we could all come together. And then for the people that don't have it, that'll just build it up within itself as a start.
Right on. So Lupe, what are you thinking in terms of just how do we get there internally first, and then we can wrap around in terms of external?
That's a complicated question. I think togetherness is most important. This mindset that we're willing to work together, and I think this has been said over and over and over again today. But then also look at strategically, how do we build a community that is sustainable? There's four main pillars of a self-sufficient community. Those pillars are banking, grocery. Doug Gines might be able to help me with them. I'm drawing a blank. There's two other pillars. Schooling and hospital. The main things that we don't have is banking. There's banks that exist in North Omaha, but the problem is the loan officers don't exist in North Omaha. If you go to a bank, if you go to First National Bank and you say, hey, I want to speak with a mortgage broker, or I want to speak with a commercial broker, he's all the way out on 180th and Dodge. So how do we speak to powers that be to make sure that they know that we're here and that we want a self-sufficient community so that we can get the lending that's needed? I think that's something that we should think about holistically, and maybe not ask. Maybe we create our own.
Yeah.
It only costs about $500,000 to create a credit union. I shouldn't say only, because that's a lot of money, but if you get a lot of people together, that's something that can be done.
Right on. Okay, Josh, what are you thinking? How do we get it? How do we get there internally,
Hey,
the Black
listen,
community?
I tell you something. The Black dollar, man. Let's talk about it. Shopping with each other. We holler support, and that's great, man. And but yeah, man, I shop. I'm like Lupe, man. From a Black lawn service to even at the coffee shop. just outsourcing things, man. We don't make those donuts. We got another company that's their donuts, cross promotion, just helping trend stacking. You know what I mean? From a community standpoint, just pushing one another. People love to complain, man. I'm telling you, I was a barber for 10 years. If somebody catch a bald spot at the barber shop, they wasn't telling what barber did it. They were saying what barber shop did it. You know what I mean?
Right,
So
right.
People won't even tell you where they got a great haircut at. But listen, man, accountability, man. Accountability. I don't give a damn what's going on in this whole conversation. If there's not accountability, there's nothing. So if everybody does their part, and when I say does their part, as simple as if like Casanova said, man, we sat down with my brother, man, and what's up, Cass? How you doing, man? You good? Yeah, but when I sat down with him, man, it wasn't any a hesitation of information, man. There's no reason why him and I can't exchange resources, man. Before the funding even came out, man, Cass hit me up. He said, "Hey, man, these programs are gonna come out." My banker said in a couple of weeks. The banks don't even have them yet, man. Just be looking out. This is the information you're gonna need. So just information. And when you're building a company, man, the systems are key, man. The systems are key, and it's very, very important, man. To I used to think working in the business was the thing, but you got to work on the business and not in the business, man. So you can have time just to support other people, man, and build other brands. That's what I think. But I'm no expert, man. I don't know. But we've done well for ourselves, so we stick to that game plan, and it's worked, man. I can tell you that.
That's what's up. Now, hey, Brother Dale, in terms of just how do we move that ecosystem as far as, the community benefit, economics, in terms of to grow a strong Black economy?
Yeah, we had me and Rodney Sampson had a dope article that came out in Brookings this morning in their COVID series, and it focuses on building tech entrepreneurship ecosystems. And there's models that are out there. I think people have to understand the difference. What we have is a deficit in economic development. We don't really have a deficit in entrepreneurs in terms of raw talent. We have a deficit in the ecosystem and a deficit in economic development. The best way somebody put it was on a webinar or something I was on the other day. They said, the difference is that if you swim downstream, you're going with the current and you move faster. If you swim upstream, you may still be moving, but you're going to have to generate a lot more force. And that's what we're asking a lot of our entrepreneurs to do, right? Like my job as an economic developer, and I'm not going to lie, man, I haven't done as well as I could have done in the city, clearly by the state that we're in now, in trying to work to create an ecosystem where it's fluid for these young men and women. I mean, you look at you look at the talent that's just on this right here, and you think, and I always think about, okay, Lupe's just dropped 200 employees, right? Casanova's killing it. I don't know the rest of you that well. Me and Raheem have been hanging out a little bit lately. Imagine if we would have had a more fluid and functional ecosystem. Lupe might have 1,000 employees at this point in time. Casanova might have a real estate empire that rivals, Donald Trump's empire. But these are the things that we're not looking at, the environmental context in which these young men and women and individuals are producing and even want to produce and grow firms, and then the things that go around them. We don't have a culture of entrepreneurship. So individuals are navigating solo in a world that's really connected in other communities and these things. So we got some models that are out there. Rodney brought his OHUB model from Atlanta up to Kansas City. You got Oak Fever Miami down in Miami. You got Innovation Villages in Baltimore, probably the best one. Real estate driven West Baltimore transformation ecosystem building world. We need to step back and develop a model and not look at a specific program. Tim, I'll tell you, man, we have went backwards since I started working at the Federal Reserve in 2011.
Wow.
2011, think about this. We had 8 or 9 small business support organizations that supported Eastern Omaha. Right now, you really only have Nebraska Enterprise Fund. That's about it. Conversely, Kansas City didn't have any microfinance programs. Now they have all of these wonderful programs that support diverse entrepreneurs of color, Black entrepreneurs specifically. So they went forward, we went backwards. And so there's a lot of work that I personally have to do. And when I finish this PhD in a couple months, I'll be back in action. Me and Raheem started having some conversations. So it's an open challenge to everybody that's like me, we need to do better for these folks. Like, we failed them. And we're forcing them to swim upstream when we really need to make it so we can help them swim downstream.
Okay. Casanova.
Hey, Tim.
Yeah,
Can I
go
jump
ahead.
in and say, I just wanted to check on something real quick. Felicia Russell is showing up on my screen. I just don't know if she's here, but if she is here, we haven't given her a chance to weigh in yet. I just want.
Yeah, she is showing up on the screen, but she did text me. So she's in a meeting right now, so she cannot join us.
Okay.
And she cannot join us, and she's going to join us next time. This is going to be a monthly kind of deal. The fourth Thursdays of the month, we're going to have town hall meetings that's going to really focus on various issues and topics. So yeah.
All right. Sorry to interrupt. I just-
Hey, Willie and Tim, just 1 second. Just want to interject. Dale guys, I just want to say, man, big respect. And that's what I'm talking about, accountability, man. When he stepped up and he said that, and people in his position, we got to do better. I got to do better. People got to do better. So that's super duper big. And that's what I'm talking about right there. That's huge. Thank you.
Yeah. Casanova, and you guys, I want to respect everybody's time. As you can see, we're over. We were supposed to be finished at 9 o'clock, but I think we're close to wrapping this up. And I do want to give Ricky some time to talk a little bit about, because there's a whole lot of babies out there that's going to be transitioning back to school, but we're going to get a chance to do a deeper dive on that. But I think want to at least honor Dante's request for him to speak on that. So let's go with Casanova, and then Raheem, if you can kind of just elaborate on that a little bit, and then we'll go ahead and try to wrap it up.
Yeah. So I think I'm a different believer in this, right? But I know a lot of the times the conversation is we got to build our own system. Well, I'll be honest and say that everything that I look at, I've always been strategic on it. And so I am a believer in you penetrate another system and then you bust it open and you can do whatever. Like I've always kind of thought, like, why reinvent the wheel? So I understand that in our, where we are right now. And I definitely appreciate and understand what Dale was saying of like, how do we, if we're running the same speed as them, how do we catch up, right? Well, for me, as I look at these things and I say, if there's systems that are already built, right? And I know that I'm kind of a minority in this thought, but when I look at these things, I look at it and say, listen, Lupe, or even myself, Lupe could have built his own insurance agency business, right? And he probably would have did damn well at it. But yet he came into a business that was here in Nebraska that already had a name. He busted through there, and now look at all the opportunity that it's had. He didn't have to sell his soul to do it, right? He did it the way that he wanted to do it. Same way with me. So I came into Berkshire, right? And how many, there's maybe 2 or 3 other Black agents, especially when I was coming in, like Kathy Sledge and, Count and people that have been, and Michelle Torrance, people that have been great, over the long term. But for me, I could have said, hey, you know what, I'm gonna do it this route. But I knew that up front, like I was going to penetrate the system and I was going to do it my own way. And I think that's what allowed me to create the success. So I think that a lot of the times when you talk about how do we start internally, I think that's exactly where it has to start. We have to stop thinking that, look, just because you don't look like me, there's no way you could be with me. You have to be against me. And I think somebody who's done it, and in my opinion, one of the best ways that you could have done it is Richard, right? And Richard has kind of penetrated the system. And when you look at the circles and the tables that he's in, now, that's not to say that he didn't have dope mentors like Tim and everyone else that's helped him, but I am a big, proponent of that. Of you don't have to sell your soul, but if the system's already there, you bust in, you penetrate it, and then once you get to that table, once you get to that level, it allows you to bring everybody up. I think a prime example of that has been like Jay-Z, right? And people like that. It's not to say that you won't do your own thing, but that's what my thing would be. I would think a lot of the times we have these relationships that we can already cultivate on a system that's already there. And then we can essentially, we're looking to penetrate it. And I don't know that you're necessarily looking to, my thought on it is then you change it and you make it better. And so I guess that's always been my mindset on it. I've always thought like, I don't feel like I've ever had to sell out. And the people that I know, I don't feel like they have either, but that's what I would say.
Okay. All right. I'm going to let you wrap it up, Raheem. Wrap it up, and then we're going to, and then King ISO, I know, one of the things when Josh introduced me to you is in terms of just with some of the challenge, mental health. And I know with COVID-19 and what's happening, there's a whole lot of stress. mental challenges, and I think we got to take care of each other. So I would love for you to give some thoughts as we close too, in terms of just what you would recommend people. What should they do if they're dealing with some mental health challenges? How do they get help? But Raheem, go ahead and give your thoughts, and then we'll jump to Ricky, and then we'll let King ISO close us out.
All right. So to be brief, I think moving forward, we should adopt a few behaviors that help us advance with our ventures. The first one is all of those out there that, you know, have some type of idea that or are good at something that benefits someone else or solves a problem that other people have and don't have a business for it. I think now is the time that you look at trying to create a business for it. There's a lot of opportunities out here to solve problems that people are having. Because a lot of businesses shut down, there are additional problems that need to be solved. But if you are going to do it that way, explore looking at innovation as you are getting those different types of things done. The next thing, a lot of people mention the sharing of information, but I think as we move forward, especially as we innovate, we have to look into how we are using that information and in which ways we can expound upon the use of that information. So looking at the data that we're getting in and looking at different feedback we're getting from people and figuring out the most creative ways that we can use that to advance ourselves and our initiatives. Next, you know, like I mentioned before, there's problems to be solved, but there are also now, especially these days, people who know how to solve them. And there's different resources and tools and technologies out there that can teach you how to solve these different problems. So don't be afraid to really reach out to people. If you have different things going on, there's very skilled people within the community that know how to do an array of things and a multitude of different industries. But along with that, building that system, that ecosystem, if you will, of this network that we have, we need to not be afraid to provide that support or provide that information or provide whatever people need to really help advance them and your initiatives alike. So thank you again for the time, everyone, and a wonderful event.
Hey, thanks a lot, Raheem. I appreciate you and all your efforts in helping to make this a reality as well, and your innovation. Thank you so much. Ricky, before we go to King ISO, Ricky, can you kind of just give us a top level of what's happening? I know Dante has some concerns with this, you know, so many days in school, so many days out of school, and then this virtual schooling, and then this whole thing of if you're doing virtual schooling, you can't participate in sports. Give us some clarity, and then hopefully in our future sessions, we'll be able to have some more representatives on this so we can do a deep dive.
Yes, sir. So the language is really tricky for us, and it's a tricky message that's gotten out to our community, because you hear virtual learning and then you hear remote learning. Those are two different things. And so the virtual school, you have to actually enroll in that. There's tuition required. Kids work on their own independently, and then they meet with a teacher, like in small group. With the remote learning, it's open for all of our OPS students. There's no tuition affiliated with it. You use the smart devices that we provided you, and you log on and you do you do your 3-2 stuff, but it's online. It's all online. Depending upon how many teachers we have to sign up to teach remotely, that's going to determine how many students we can have in those classrooms in order to keep it balanced. Now, as a parent who's worried, I signed my son up for remote learning because I don't think we're ready to be back in the buildings. And my older son is 20. He works as a janitor. He has to go in there and clean those buildings. So I have 2 kids who could possibly be infected if the schools aren't, social distancing appropriately. We have had countless calls on teachers who already have tested positive, football players, dance team, most recently Central's basketball team. And so at our very last board meeting, the superintendent let us know that the way the sports thing is going, it looks like we might have to push back opening on the 11th. We have a meeting on Monday where we'll get more updates, but that decision is based off of what the Nebraska Department of Education says and passes down to her. And then she's listening to what else, what's going on with the CDC. So it's a whole different things in play. The remote learning registration closed on Wednesday. And so I'm sure we'll be getting a whole bunch of calls of parents who want to try to get their students into that. I don't know what the play is going to be to open it back up, or if we measure and see how many teachers we have available for that. So we have like 3 or 4 different things set up to where we'll push back in another week, or we'll push back into September, but we just got to decide what's going to be the best decision for our kids. And they have to social distance. Burke is the most, I guess, kind of, as far as capacity is concerned, the most difficult school in our whole district to social distance at. And so you put one school in danger, you got to think about, okay, those teachers, those kids, those bus drivers, how does that look? And then also, if a kid goes to Burke and he has a sibling at Beveridge and the family comes down with it, we got to quarantine. We got to call the parents because they have all the parents, because you might be in the same classroom.
Right.
So
that's right.
All the things that we really got to take into consideration. It's a tough decision for Dr. Logan. Whatever she decides to do, it's great that our community can stand behind her and support her. Other districts are now calling for virtual or remote learning. They didn't have it before, so that's another thing that we have already put in place for our kids, so we can make it happen. So it's just being mindful of how we can do it slowly and protect our kids and protect our families and our teachers.
Hey, Ricky, real quick, what's the difference between virtual and remote, besides just a fee? I mean, you said there's going to be a fee that's going to be tied to the virtual learning versus the remote learning.
Yeah. So with the remote learning, it's just open to all of our OPS students, as is virtual. But it's just the remote learning is more of an answer to, if we got to stay at home, we can't have kids in the building. How can we still teach them? So the kids who do remote learning, they're going to have to check in every single day. There's going to be attendance taken, so the teacher know that they're there, and then those lesson plans will be rolled out. And the curriculum is already in place. Teachers have already received the professional development, so they can teach it. And then the virtual learning, it has its own separate curriculum where kids work at their own pace. So you make assignments, and you don't have to meet with the teacher on a 3-2 basis or check in every day. But you will have times where you got to be face-to-face with your instructor, and you'll get some hands-on kind of tangible assignments that you work through with your instructor. And that's more where that tuition comes in. Then the 3-2 model. So kids will go to school 3 days, 1 week, and then the next week it'll be 2.
Okay.
And you have to be enrolled in school and do the 3-2 in order to participate in sports. But right now, if you look at sports, if OPS pulls all of their sports teams, there's nobody from Millard to play, Westside, Prep, Papillion, so we kind of control what happens with that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that, and I wish we had more time. We could do a little bit more discussion about it, but we will figure out a way to. Willie, I'm thinking maybe between the Empowerment Network and any other organizations out there to have some continued dialogue about that. But King ISO, if you could kind of give us some your last thoughts in terms of just people that are dealing with mental challenges. What might you advice that you may have for them?
The first thing I would say is that if you do know somebody that is, and what I've learned just from, I guess, like my battle, there are a bunch of people that don't understand it. You know what I mean? And I feel like there are a lot of us that have dealt with it, and maybe we didn't understand it, or maybe we didn't know until we've, I guess, sought professional help, and then we figured out, like, oh man, I found out I have anxiety, or I found out I've been dealing with this, that, and the third. I feel like one of the main important things to do is to inform yourself on just every single aspect of it. There's only a certain number of diagnoses, right? You have bipolar 1, bipolar 2, manic depression, you have schizoaffective disorder, you have schizophrenia. There are things you could just look up and read, and you'll find out a lot about it. You know what I mean? So that's a very important start when you're dealing with it, because being in group therapy settings, a lot of people don't want to talk to it because they feel unrelatable. They feel like, I don't feel like I can open up about it. Nobody wants to hear this, or they're going to get looked at a certain way, which is a whole different conversation period, with people being afraid to open up about it because, I guess, of how they look or how society made them feel about it. Mm-hmm. But I was talking to my business partner about the statistics that have happened since, you know, COVID has happened. And I think, don't quote me on this, but around the area of suicide has been up, like, I believe damn near 20 to 30%.
Yeah.
And that's very serious. You know what I mean? There are a lot of business owners. There are a lot of people just all across the spectrum. It doesn't even matter what you are. It's just this situation damaged a lot of people. So I feel like if anything, counsel is what people need, and they need they need to know where to go and who to call to get help. As far as what I've learned just being in Omaha, they have a pretty dope, you know, pretty cool and very, very helpful, you know, select a few organizations. Like one of them is called Safe Harbor.
Okay.
I don't know exactly what their what do you call it, stipulations are right now, but it's a place you can go. Like, you can pull up, you can stay overnight, and they have on-site nurses. I believe it was started with I think women that were dealing with like domestic violence. So if they wanted to get away from their family and have a safe place that they could go, they would go there, and they could bring their kids. And it's kind of like, you know, like I believe kind of like a hotel setting. They have a bed and all that. They could stay overnight. They could stay up to, I think, like maybe 48 hours. And then, you know, they pretty much they have a safe place. And also you have nurses and therapists on call or on site, I mean, that talk to you. NAMI is a really good organization, the National Alliance Against Mental Illness. They pretty much web together a lot of these programs. There's a place called Lasting Hope. You could check yourself in. You could have a psych eval. That, you know, there's nurses and doctors that can help you get it together. Before everything closed up, and I think everything's starting to open back up. Douglas County DCMH, it's the place right off of like 42nd and Woolworth, I believe. They had open events to the public. If you know somebody that's dealing with like bipolar, or you know somebody that's dealing with schizophrenic disorder, they had open classes to the public where you can come and you can participate and you can literally learn. It was like kind of like how we're doing right now, how like everybody's out offering information.
Yeah.
You just come in, you could sit in with whoever your family member is, and you can get informed, and you could learn everything from medication, side effects, what this does, or certain symptoms to look for. And it's a lot of stuff that I learned from being within the system that I didn't that like a lot of people with on the outside of it didn't know about. I was blessed to be able to get out of it and get my life together and be able to do some amazing things, and also have that information with me that I could share, you know. So I feel like right now, especially with everything being so you know, wild, it's just like I would definitely say counsel, have a support system.
Yeah.
Make sure the people that you are surrounding yourself with are good for your spirit, that are feeding your soul. I had to do a social media cleanse, you know, to make sure the things you occupying your time with, because you know, whatever you focus your mind on, that's what you're going to manifest. You know, there's a lot of idle time that people have been having. I think that's why people have been going so crazy. Number one, people went stir crazy being in the house. You binge watching stuff that's probably not good for your spirit.
Yeah.
Maybe your support system isn't, you know, the way it should be. Like the type of people that I have in my life, you know, personal trainers, nutritionists, you know, people that are actively doing stuff in the community. Those type of people that are going to feed your spirit and uplift you. I think that's the most important thing, because you're surrounding yourself with. So that's what I would offer.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate you taking the time to really share your story, and I think it's important, especially in terms of what we're dealing with this COVID-19. And Dell, if I heard you right, Dell, you basically, did you say you've been exposed to COVID-19?
No, I haven't, and two of my kids have it. That's why what Ricky is saying about you know, protecting the kids at school is important, because it's gonna jump fast. So, you know, for example, my son had a friend come from a small town 2 hours away. She goes back. We get tested. I get tested first because I was symptomatic, I'm like, I know my body, something isn't right. So I go to CVS, get the test. They did a great job of that touchless testing. Get my results about 2 days later. Okay, it comes back positive. So now he tells his mom, I can't smell or taste. So now she's calling his, friend, because she was exposed to him. Her brother can't go to prom that they're having in the small town, right? Because my three kids came over to the house, they can't go to work. So people need to understand that, this is real. And the basic lowest hanging fruit is wearing a mask and being respectful of other people when you're out in public. Because I'm not even sure where I got it from. And at this point, it's really irrelevant. But this thing is real. And to the point, we a lot of our kids, and this is on an earlier panel, Black kids have a higher obesity rate, of greater health risks. So you put them back in an environment where you can potentially have this virus. It's going to it has disproportionately impacted people.
Yes, right.
It's right. Actually impact Black kids and Black families. So we just have to do the best that we can. And so I appreciate, Ricky really sitting and taking the time to explain it to us, and really looking out for our kids' best interest, because there's no easy answers, and that's what makes this so tough. There's no answers for this, and so we gotta be thoughtful about it and do what we need to do to try to keep ourselves safe.
Right on. Hey, you guys, I need to wrap it up. We need to wrap it up, and Willie, I'm gonna. If you could think about in terms of just how to pull this all together, but I just really want to thank everyone. I know this was a business panel, and we kind of sidetracked it a little bit, but I think it was necessary in terms of just some of the pointed conversations that we had in terms of mental health and then COVID-19. And really what you said, Dale, is simple. I mean, it's simple, but it's just folks are finding it hard to do. Wear a mask. It will save lives. Social distancing, wash your hands, and go get tested, because as you said, so many of us were asymptomatic. I've been tested now, going on my 4th time, and thank God every time it's been negative, but I got to keep doing that. I got to keep doing that. So we have to do that. I do want to thank all of the panelists, but especially want to thank our sponsors, Douglas County Health Department, Dr. Poor, Phil, and the leadership there. And one of the things I've been stressing to them and to our health community, we need more testing in those underlying medical conditions communities that's high risk. We got to take the testing to them. We got to get more testing so we can really have a better baseline of really the severity of what's going on in our community. We got to get more testing to people. So thank you, Douglas County Health Department. I want to thank 24th Street Corridor and Business Alliance, 100 Black Men of Omaha, North Star, Avenue Scholars, City of Omaha Human and Relations Department, and Dr. Franklin Thompson. Want to thank you guys. Jan Pro Clinging, and they're to me, I think he's still on, but with this COVID-19, it's not going anywhere soon. So if you need to mitigate situations where in your home you have someone that has contracted that virus and you need to really disinfect the whole home, that's what they do, both residential and business, in terms of just clean that environment with EPA certified solutions that they use. The Empowerment Network, thank you so much, Willie. I appreciate the work that you guys are doing out there. It's making a difference. It's making a difference. And all the not-for-profit organizations that's been a part of this, we're hoping to continue this. You'll see some of the same panelists, but also we will look at various topics and areas that we want to concentrate and really begin to do this the 4th Thursday of every month and really try to focus more, and we will get better. This is only the first one. We will get better. We will not have as many panelists so we can have more dialogue and you'll get a chance to do a deeper dive in terms of as a panelist. But for the jump off, we kind of overdid it in terms of just the number of panelists that we have. But we'll try to dial that back, and so we can go a little deeper in terms of with the panelists that we have. So thank you guys all. I appreciate you. And Willie, if you want to just kind of wrap it up, again, thank you for being a co-host. And I want to thank Jessica, Raheem, and the team that it takes, as someone talked about, it really, all of this, it takes a team. And I think we got to find those common grounds in which we can move forward. Black lives, they do matter. And people that don't understand that, you know, that's a whole nother subject. But we have some unbelievable opportunities right now to move our agenda forward and really look at taking empathy to and putting it to work. And that's internally and externally. And it's going to take all of us, white people, black people, blue people. It's going to take all of us taking a stance in terms of what's happening in our country right now. So with that, Willie, I'll turn it over to you, and God bless everyone. Take the time to be good to yourself. It makes it so much easier to be good to others when you take the time to be good to yourself.
Hey, Tim,
Amen.
First of all, man, I just want all of us to recognize all the work that incredible work you had to do to reach out to so many people. You know, you're talking 30, 40 people that you connected with to make this possible tonight. So I want to honor you, recognize you, and the work you've been doing for a long time in this community. And so we appreciate you putting the work in to make this happen. A few things real quick. We started with health and wellness, went into a conversation about financial empowerment, owning homes, making sure that our community has resources that are needed. Then we moved into unity and relationship and trust and how we need to work together around community and education and neighborhoods. And then we roll up to this panel talking about wealth and building ownership. I'm really excited because as Dale was talking and others were talking, first of all, if you look at category by category now, we have Black women and Black men owning businesses in almost every single category in Omaha. And we didn't have that before. And so you have people like Lupe that has, headed towards 200 employees, Carmen that is headed towards 300, Carmen Tapio at North End headed towards 300 employees. You have other, and I want to make sure that we put this out there, Tim. This panel was all the brothers. So the next panel, I need to make sure that our women that are out there doing entrepreneurship. Dell's done national research to show that the fastest growing entrepreneurs are Black women. And so hats off to Vondra Caldwell and the group that's doing mixins. And you talk about Carmen, you talk about Ashley with Best Burger, you go down the list with Candace and other Black women out there that are doing it on a daily basis on the business side. But collectively with these brothers and others that are out there, there's nothing that we cannot do. So again, Tim, thank you for pulling this together. Thank you all the brothers that are on here, the gifts and talents that are on this line right now, from product development to music, to industry, to delivery, to real estate, to best practices along research, every gift. My friend George Fraser says it this way: God has given us everything we need. We just not need each other. And with what I've seen tonight, the collaboration, the conversation, taking it to the next level, focus on solutions. I'll close with, it's time to transform the city. That's the goal, the agenda that we have is transforming the city. Look for Transform Omaha. There's a way for us, there's a place for everybody to participate.
Can you repeat that quote one more time? You said God has given us everything we need, but what and what?
And now we need each other.
I like that.
Now we need each other.
He's given us everything we need. Now we need each other. That's powerful.
Look at all the gifts and talents we've heard for the last 3 hours. And that's just a sampling of the brilliance of Black folks here in Omaha. And you look at, you're getting me fired up because I'm not from Omaha, but when you start looking down the rail of the champions and the world-class folks in every single sector that have been born and raised in this city, and look at it, it's still happening. We're just not recognizing it. And this is the time to bring it together and make it happen at a whole different level.
Right on, right on. Well, hey, he said it. Thank you so much, Willie, for co-facilitating this. And you guys, please share this. Like our page in terms of moving people to action. It's a movement. We have to organize and be strategic and intentional about what's next. We have an election coming up in November, and we can't play. Playtime is over. We cannot play. And we got to support each other. We got to get out and vote, the census and all those kind of things. So let's do that. And you guys, my man El Stupo, he's got you got your event coming up, and
Yes, sir.
that's going to be a kind of a drive-in funny kind of thing going on, right?
Yeah, drive-in comedy event, man. It's just like old school back in the 90s where your mama used to take you, where my mom used to take us to the drive-in movie theater. We didn't really watch the movie. We used to catch lightning bugs. But this time, we're combining comedy with it. So we have live stand-up comedy. You want to sit inside of your car and hear the comedy coming through the speakers. If you far in the back, don't worry about it. They have the huge screen up there where you can see the comedian and the whole nine. It's going to be a great time.
Right on.
Please come out Saturday, August 15th.
Right on.
Sure.
Hey, you guys, go like Moving People to Action, our Facebook page. That's where a lot of energy we're gonna be, and action points that we're gonna take to move our community forward. Thank you guys so much. We got there's a song that my daughter's gonna play. I want you to check it out. We're gonna end with this song. Go ahead. It's my man Anderson Pratt, and then my man King ISO. We got to support his music. I just learning about him. I got a chance to kind of check out some of your music, man. I was really impressed, and I want to collaborate. I'm an artist too. I most definitely want to talk to you about some maybe partnering on a project.
Let's do it.
Right on. Go ahead, Jessica. Take it away. Thank you again, Jessica. Appreciate you, and my man Raheem.
Thank you, Tim,
for making this happen. All the behind the scenes, the technology.
You should have been downtown. The people
Take it away, Jessica. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
We thought it was a lockdown.
God bless.
They opened the fire.
God bless.
Them bullets was flying.
Go ahead and play. Go
Who
ahead,
said
Jess.
it was a lockdown? Goddamn lie. Oh my, time heals all, but you out of time now. Judge gotta watch us from the clock tower. Little tear gas cleared the whole place out. I'll be back with the hazmat for the next round. We was trying to protest and the fires broke out. Look out for the secret agents, they be planted in the crowd. Said it's civil unrest, but you sleep so sound like you don't hear the screams when we catching beat down. Staying quiet when they killing, but you speak loud when we ride. Got opinions coming from a place of privilege. Sicker than the COVID, how they did them on the ground. Speaking of the COVID, is it still going around? Won't you tell me about the looting? What's that really all about? Cause they throw away black lives like paper towels plus unemployment rate. What, 40 million now? Killed a man in broad day, might never see a trial. We just wanna break chains like slaves in the south. Started in the north end, but we in the downtown. Riot cops try to block, now we got a showdown. Down. You should have been downtown. The people are rising. We thought it was a lockdown. They opened the fire. Them bullets was flying. Who said it was a lockdown? Goddamn lies. Downtown, where I got popped with the rubber bullet tray. Got it in my name now. I'm a shooter. Never understand why they do it. Someone cut the channel off the news before I lose it. I ain't even tripping.